we're live. Thank you. Plat chat episode 147. I didn't even give you guys a heads up. I just went live because we're so late already. 12 minutes. We can't have the Overwatch League fans wait 12 minutes for the content, for their free content.
Oh,
they've waited long enough.
That's
They've waited long enough for content.
All right, so just give me a heads up if the audio is different or anything like that. It's gonna be great. All right, episode 147. Boy, do we have an episode for you guys today. This is gonna be great. You guys don't even know what's coming. It's gonna be fantastic. I'm really excited for this episode. Regular season is wrapped up for the Overwatch League 2022 season. So we won't talk too much about the games that happened this past week, but we are going to review our season rankings before the season and go over what went right, what went wrong.
I can't wait to see where London was placed.
It's going to be fun. But first of all, Avast is back. Last week we had Averlon. Avast is back. He's eating a banana on camera. Love to see it.
Yeah, I start because we literally start every episode to like get out of the shower after I got back from the gym. So I'm very hungry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was out.
God. A little banana string there,
I was out in LA and I didn't get a chance to hang out with anyone because I was literally there for a day and then I left. So
wow, and you didn't want to. That's fucked up, man.
I had to run. I had to do some work business and then I left right after. So I had no chance
business.
to see anybody. Yeah.
All right.
No one just no.
So you are eating your banana, but I did want to get your takes if you saw our awards last week. I don't know what that says, Custa.
Hello, beautiful.
I really don't know what that says.
Hello, beautiful.
Hello, beautiful.
Chat.
Oh, this.
It just says yours.
Yours.
Yeah, Avast, did you catch the last episode? Did you see our awards? I know you're a bit of a Smurf. Over there.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much I was just like, I just was sad I wasn't there to be a Smurf head. That was it. That was pretty much it. That was it. I'm a Smurf head. You know, we're out there. We're numerous. There's lots of us. And we're loud and we're proud and we won't be silenced. And that's really all there is.
Smurf head too.
Yeah, that's true.
Smurf heads unite. That's all I got. Really, besides that, you know, no, I don't know much else going on. I mean, I didn't watch the episode anyways. I just saw the people reacted to it, so I don't watch our own episode. I got too much to do to go back and watch all the episodes I miss, you know? So I'm just going to let everyone else inform me because everyone else will be outraged and then I'll get their outrage and then I can react based off the outrage.
That's smart, and then you can make more content. That's the endless cycle of the internet.
Yeah, I don't think you should feel bad. I don't even think I watch the episodes wrong.
I don't watch episodes when I'm not on. You know, we need to be honest with ourselves.
Like 2.5 hours long. I'm surprised people fucking have the time to watch us currently. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have fucking time to spend 2.5 hours watching a Plat episode.
We're busy. We're busy. You know, Avast is bored for business, getting out of the shower, eating bananas. Doing work.
Yeah, that's his lifestyle.
You know?
That's my lifestyle. Showering and eating bananas.
Showering and bananas.
That's all I do.
No time for that.
Our enthusiast.
What do you think about the Roll Star picks? I don't know if you picked anyone for Roll Star, Avast. We had Jaws, of course, representing the Toronto Defiant with Chorong, Twilight, and Hisu as his Roll Stars.
I actually have a Toronto Defiant on right now.
What was your hot take of your Roll Stars? Because Jack went scorching hot.
I went.
so
here's the thing. I was a Hisu fan coming into this year, and I think overall that fandom has paid off. I still don't know if he's earned rules. I feel like he might have,
over
but
Kevster?
Like there's, like over Kevster, I don't know. Like I think if he had a better this last stage, if he had a good stage, I think I'd be more confident in asserting that he should be a role star. But like, because his first 3 stages, he was pretty good, especially Summer Showdown. He was like incredible. But like I don't think he was quite role star worthy when you compare it to like, but Twilight, yeah, I'll give you Twilight. I'll give you Chorong. I think the backline fucking owns for Defiant. I think it's been like consistent their best part. I've been impressed with Chorong's flexibility on the Xin as a main support too. So I'll give you that. Other hot takes for like star though. I mean, is Dante in there?
Yeah, I think a couple of people put Dante.
Dante literally has to be a role star. Aaron has to be a role star.
Yeah, Avril.
Like obviously some of the guys from like the Fusion, like for example, I think like kind of hard pressed not to put like M3 or Zest in the contention.
Well, okay, here was the problem that we had, and this is our problem with Hisu in the list. Is okay, so you had Proper, Prophet, Kevster, and then can you take any of those 3 out really? And then the 4th one was up to interpretation.
Well, see, that depends if you're willing to like. Are you willing to double dip? Are you putting like Proper like for like MVP and Roll Star?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
We're big into double dipping here.
Yeah,
That's fair.
we're
If you're
triple
double
dipping at this
dipping, then
point.
there's less
That's all.
variety. I myself, I'm not a double dipper just because like I find it mostly just because I find it boring. On merit wise, yes, Proper is a role star. I'm just like he's getting the MVP. What the fuck does he care about the role star? You know, like who
Yeah.
cares? Like so to me, I'm just like I won't overlap just because it's more fun that way. And there's like if you get the MVP to me, that eclipses a role star.
Do you agree with that then on Rookie of the Year? Because I know some people are like, that's fucking ridiculous. That if you win MVP, you shouldn't win Rookie of the Year.
Well, I think merit wise, if the person is good enough, yeah, sure, give it to him. I just think that like personally, I think Proper is it should be awarded an MVP or Rookie of the Year, but I think there's like very good candidates to also be argued like other roles where like, but if you truly believe he's good enough, I don't see a reason why he shouldn't win the both. You know, like if he's that good, like yeah, fuck it. If you truly think so, then I don't see why he shouldn't. Personally, I like variety of the spice of life, and even though I think Proper's been insanely dominant, I don't feel like he still hasn't begun like he hasn't been a Christ-like figure enough to me to give him everything. I just can't give him everything still because he's like he's been insanely good. I was just like, has he always blown my socks off every single match he's played? No, so I'm not gonna give him every award.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, there you go. Avast, if you could just raise your microphone volume, just like 3 decibels or something, just a tad over there, and then we're perfect.
Testing.
This is great.
Testing.
This is fantastic.
There we go.
Yeah, and we got Avast.
Yeah, my cats like to play with my fucking
Same,
dials
bro.
on
Do they knock them off of the like? Do you have a Go XLR? Do they like knock the little caps off?
No, I don't have a Go
find 'em?
XLR. I have like I have the much more dependable SSL2. But like it's like but they sit there and they'll like bat at it and they'll like try to chew on them so it moves them.
Yep.
All right. Perfect. All right. Thank you very much for that insight of us into your awards for the 2022 season. There you go. Before we get into the stuff this week, I do want to touch quickly on a bit of a blog post, I suppose it was, coming out from the Overwatch team, or it was like a tweet even from Aaron Keller about the balancing that will be going on. We don't have an official balance patch yet for the playoffs, but you know,
we have leaks.
We have leaks. Oh, I
someone sent me a tweet yesterday on my Twitter, which had like it could easily be made up. It was coming from like a Discord, but it looked like what I would imagine the balance patch would be.
Okay. Well,
but it hit all the major notes.
We don't know. We don't know that. But there was a blog post anyway. So I wanted to just quickly touch on that. You know, when it comes to hero balance, I think overall we can say that the game is in a pretty good state for the most part. And so they came out and talked about the hero balance after, you know, the initial couple of weeks here of playing the game. They wrote, quote, while some heroes are performing better than others and there are differences across player skill levels, we have been happy to see that there's no hero's overall power level is far out of line with our goals. Every hero on the roster has a win rate between 45 and 55%. So not planning any immediate balance changes based on what we are seeing, with the exception of targeted adjustment to Zarya in Total Mayhem. Very relevant. So instead, our team is planning to make series of balance changes for season 2.
That's after your screenshot, by the way.
Mayhem with Desire. Just quick. I decided, like in the second day of Overwatch 2 came out, I decided to play a Total Mayhem game, and I actually tweeted about it. The game went for 50 minutes because Zarya is just unkillable on the cart because she has permanent bubbles. So this is a much needed change. It was literally unplayable.
I've been in like one Total Mayhem game, and I was like, this has ruined my conception of what it's supposed to be. It just broke everything. But overall, it seems like the takeaway here is that Reinhardt, Sigma, Zarya actually currently lead up to competition with an average of 53% unmirrored win rate. So Reinhardt, Sigma, and Zarya doing well over here.
Remember, this is across all ranks too, and like I think the majority of people will, especially when they're consuming media, will only ever see, let's say, Masters 1+ gameplay, like for the majority of the time. So
no, that's generous. They'll the majority of people
probably
will see,
like GM3. No. I'm saying like when they consume media from streamers.
Oh, you mean like when people are watching?
Yeah,
I thought you were talking. About,
So what people see, I think, is generally skewed, especially because Emon flats and whatnot are like GM1, etc. So yeah, that's a perception because. Balance is a weird thing, and I've spoken to Ben about this an absolute ton, like balancing and like win rates and shit like that, and that is really surprising that Sigma has like such a high win rate. I don't think that hero is good at all. But that again, that's kind of across.
I think it's
all
way
ranks.
better at lower ranks, and because I think
Yes,
like at higher
agreed.
ranks, people are just smart enough to realize that if you just walk at him,
He dies.
nothing really like he
Yeah.
just falls over in a lot of
He does.
ways. But I think and like Xayah is she's overpowered in high ranks because if you know how to get energy and then know when you can walk at people, she's just overpowered. So I think the thing that a lot of high end people got frustrated at this blog post is that they're like, this is obviously just downplaying how strong some of these heroes are. But I don't think that's true. I think you just need to look at the big picture, as you said, Jack, and really appreciate that, hey, maybe in other ranks, this isn't as strong, and they are going to balance for the whole game and not just the top end. And I think that's how it should be.
I think Sombra, sorry, last point on this. I think Sombra is like the perfect example of this. Like, Sombra at high ranks is just a menace. Like, that shit is very, very overpowered. And like doing extra damage to hack targets, being able to pick off backlines. You can't out heal that hack damage too if they have like slightly decent aim. And like capitalizing on EMPs and shit. That shit does not happen at lower ranks. You EMP and there's maybe like 2 people following you up. Maybe. Like, I think Sombra is like the perfect case study for like.
Also, no one like
balancing
goes and like
various
spawn
elos.
camps Xin or whatever. On
Yeah,
Sombra in low ranks.
exactly.
Like it's so frustrating in ranked if you're playing like Zenyatta and there's a Sombra on the team because they can just a good Sombra will just literally instantly
just
kill you
spawn
because if you
camp
don't
you.
get peeled food, there's nothing you can do. There's really nothing you can do if you don't get peeled. So
yeah, and you have to hit a couple of good orb shots, but by the time she's hacked you and then you maybe apply Discord, you die because they have like semi-good aim and you have no speed.
So the good news is they are looking at some of these heroes that I think in general we'd agree are pretty strong. Like we mentioned, you know, for example, Zarya's new ability to choose where to place her new particle barriers, build up energy quickly. But also they pointed out Genji and Sojourn, and also Sombra here as well. So overall, like if we had to, you know, mention a few heroes that we think are pretty strong, it's like Diva, Zarya, Genji, Sojourn, Sombra, probably, right? So hopefully some small adjustments here that can really make the meta like super viable. So you know, some good stuff in here. Is there like one single big change you'd like to see to the meta if you had to pick one change that like you think make the game better overall?
I think
I have a bazillion hot takes.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue that I've had in ranked is that Sojourn is just oppressive. At the highest ranks, like you just lose a game if you don't have the better Sojourn. Like I had a game where Kilo got mercy pocketed and just ruined the game because we couldn't do anything. I had a game where Hanbin played Sojourn and ruined the game because we couldn't do anything. Like if you don't have a Sojourn who can match their Sojourn, it doesn't feel like there's much counterplay because she can just one-shot you.
Yeah, I had the same thing with Kai. He literally just peeks and then we're all dead. It's like, oh, that was sick. Like very entertaining experience. And like they did add the thing where she does glow up slightly when she's got charge shot, which is
a good
really
change.
nice.
Yeah, it's a really good change.
Yeah, actually having a visual indicator when you're going to get one shot is cool. But I think, yeah, my hot take on this, and I know some people, but kind of on the same lines. I saw Sherfor tweeting about it. Was like neutral damage boosts. Playing against Sojourn with a damage boost, if they are semi-decent Sojourn and can hit right clicks, you lose because they charge up their shots so quickly. And if, like I said, if they even have decent aim, you can't do shit. And then they one-shot people. So, and that's to the body with a damage boost. So it's like, and then through window and shit like that. It's yeah. I've always kind of personally hated damage boost, especially on Mercy. I think it should be saved for like ults, but obviously it's a fundamental part of our kit, so I doubt that's literally ever going to get changed. And I think just targeting the things that make that damage boost overpowered is kind of what they're going for, i.e. Sojourn's kit in general.
Yeah, I think damage boost actually is a really interesting thing for Overwatch 2 because in Overwatch 1, we were stuck in the cycle, the actual pain cycle of like, we have too much health and too much sustain. We need more damage. And then it just like went into an internal cycle of balance where they were like, we're fucking stuck in the systematic damage trap. It was crabs in the bucket. And now we've reached Overwatch 2 and we have one less tank. We have less health to burn through. We have less shields to burn through. And technically in a way, because your supports are a lot more vulnerable, the healing isn't as strong either because you're not taking like as long sustained fights. And you have more options to pressure the backline. So damage boost as a mechanic is actually very problematic, I think, for Overwatch 2. Because it's like you just don't have as much frontline to absorb it, which is a good thing because you don't want a big fucking frontline to absorb a bunch of damage. But in return, also that means that everyone else is kind of at the whims of like when someone is just getting hard pocketed, and especially in like a ranked environment, and even in like I think even in like matches, like players have talked about like sometimes it's just insanely oppressive when you play against very good players, even at the pro level, that will just one shot you, you know. And there's not like a lot of counterplay options to that because like you can't just like not peek because it isn't fucking Valorant where like you can hold the corner and like gotcha bitch, like you have to fucking you have to take space in the map, you have to be like pressuring different angles, and you can't like there are very select times where not peeking is like an answer that's good. um like there especially depending on your comp. So it's like because like unless you're playing like a May sim comp, you can't just bunker and like not peek. uh so you really, I think damage boost is something that actually does need to be. That's one of my big complaints. I think with hit scan in Overwatch 2 right now is just like how we affect like damage, like scaling going forward.
It's literally a free resource too. Like Mercy just needs to sit around
Well,
the corner,
okay.
not getting kind of focused, and you can just right click.
Let me be devil's advocate on that as well, because like there's a reason you don't see Mercy and Owl is the cost of Mercy is that you have to play Mercy, and like Mercy isn't that good. Like the only resource she really provides is damage boost, other than good throughput healing. Her res is nice, but like in Overwatch 2, I think the value of res goes down pretty dramatically because, well, like not value, I think it gets a lot more difficult to res people. So I don't know. I wouldn't say it's costless because I don't think Mercy is super good as a hero. But I think in a ranked environment where, like, I had that game where I talked about Kilo, he just got boosted by what I think was their like Masters player Mercy, and all of a sudden that skill difference isn't really as apparent because the Mercy can just sit there and damage boost the best player in the team.
I will also say I think it's a bit of a necessary evil at times as well, because I do think that, you know, even seeing some changes to D.Va and Zarya, if they get nerfed a little bit, I do think that heroes like Reinhardt, for example, will be reintroduced to the mix more heavily, and it will be way more viable. Like any ranked, I think we're going to see more Reinhardt being played because there are a lot of like Reinhardt players, specifically in European and North American ranked, compared to Korean ranked. Like that's just data, like top 500 data, like going back like years. And so I do think that like the damage amplification sometimes can be a necessary evil to deal with those slower shield compositions and like Reinhardt stuff like that. I know we have way less shields now, but I think we're also like a bit skewed in this perspective because right now the meta is Zarya and D.Va, and so damage amplification is going to be easier to like, you know, find picks and stuff like that. But we also, without Discord Orb, without Mercy Pocket or whatever it is, we also could just find a place where like, well, we can't deal with Reinhardt shield as easily without that stuff. Like, so I don't know. I don't fully like subscribe to the remove all damage amplification stuff. I think that's a bit too much of a take.
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm not saying I do as well. I think it just needs kind of looking at and getting a lot of value from just like from the blue beam and just like what Sojourn specifically. I think that's where the main crux of it lies. Although she is getting looked at, is kind of my problem with.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with ults, like Ant Matrix. That's an ult.
Yeah,
like, that's an ult that you utilize. It's literally just on the neutral thing. And also, that's a very minor complaint comparatively to the issue of, like, just Sojourn in general, where I thought you were going to bring up, like, I think the most interesting part for Sojourn's nerf that Surefour also proposed, but I think is an interesting idea, is, like, you can't duel as effectively when, like, his specific example was, like, what? When you're, like, firing, your movement speed is reduced or something?
When you're shooting your left click, you can't. You have a reduced movement speed because like that is the problem of dueling Sojourn is she just fucking crouch spams and then just like charges a rail on you as she crouch spams and spams.
And
so like that would be very I think that would be a very interesting way to like nerf hero, is because like I know they said they're looking at Genji, and like I'm gonna be honest, I don't know why. Like I don't think Genji needs nerfs personally, because I think I don't think his does that much damage. I think
I'm out here getting okay. It might be the fact that they're getting enabled by Zarya's, but like I played so many games where the Genji just gets bubbled on cooldown into your backline, and if you're good against a really good Genji, and this is why it's kind of an awkward one to talk about because this is only really at the highest level, but the Genji can kill one of your backliners before the bubble really wears off, unless you have people helping shoot the bubble. So maybe a reduce to the duration of the Zarya bubble would inherently nerf Genji. But I've been getting rolled by Genji's, and I think his right click damage has been buffed to a scary point of like how good he is at brawling and murdering people. Like I think the spread change and the damage change, right?
I just think he's enabled. I think the Genji issue suddenly magically only appears when Zarya is good.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, that's literally it. No one cared about Genji. No one cared who I was, so I put on the mask. And that's literally Genji with the bubble. Like, no one, I feel like Zarya is how strong Zarya is a pretty direct correlator of how good Genji is. Because, and if you're playing Genji without Zarya, he's still going to be good, but he's no longer, unnecessarily a menace. Like, it's far easier to counter. Like, sure, I'd be okay with minor nerfs just to bring him in line because I think support should be able to duel, a little bit DPS.
Yes.
But I don't think he should be a top priority pick. Like, Sojourn is a much more necessary change, I think, than Genji currently. And I do think Zarya is a far bigger enabler of them than anything else. Like, he is so much weaker outside of Zarya-based comps, and even Winston dive comps. He's really not that free, especially with the addition of Kiriko, I think, where you have an extra immortality to save someone and some extra burst healing for single targets. And she can even get away from him and duel him at points. I don't even think. I think Genji is fine. I'll take minor damage changes to him so the supports can duel him better. But I don't think he needs to be adjusted heavily because he's just a product of the meta more so than him being oppressive.
So let me ask you this question, because it's actually not a take I've really seen anywhere, and I just came up with it. It's just a question. I don't know either way. Part of the reason why you play a lot of Genji is because the Dragon Blade is pretty strong as well. Nano Blade is really strong. You're seeing a lot of Zarya play, a lot of Graviton Surge usage. It's really strong, stuff like that. How do we feel about the strength of ultimates overall in a 5 versus 5 format? Because when we talked about 5 versus 5, it was the return to mechanical skill, it's going to be way less about big ultimates and shields and big health pools, stuff like that. Do we feel like ultimates are in a pretty good place now overall, and is that just a known factor, or do you feel like ultimates dictate the outcome of the fight a bit too much now where we are currently?
I think not thinking about the problematic heroes like Sojourn, I don't think I felt at a point where I'm like, damn, that is strong, too strong that it needs to be nerfed. Apart from Sojourn, Nano Blade I think is fine. I think I definitely agree with what Connor's saying on the lines of, well, Zarya exists with a 2.5 second bubble. The Genji is going to insta kill you. It doesn't. There's almost no counterplay to that. If you have a good Genji and a good Zarya, that can bubble time really well. I don't think ultimates have ever been a point where I'm frustrated that they happened, apart from the railgun overclock. Yeah, I think they're balanced enough as they are right now. I definitely, as a support at least, I'm okay, grab, I have trance or beat or whatever. There's not been a point where I'm okay, this is fucking stupid. Why isn't my ult doing anything? Versus they're maybe overpowered ult.
Yeah, I completely agree with Jack. I think that you lose some fights where they pop 3 ultimates, but if they're popping 3 of their 5 ultimates, then if you're not responding with ultimates, then you're kind of playing the game wrong. I agree with Jack. The only time I ever really just, and I can echo this sentiment from people I played ranked with, because this happens time and time again. The only time I ever really feel cheated is when their Sojourn pops 1 ultimate in the overclock and she just 2 taps the backline. And it's it feels really bad because as a backliner, you can't counterplay that. There is no counterplay of the Sojourn just slid in, insta 2 tapped your backline, and you can't really offer any protection to yourself. So I think Sojourn's ult needs to be looked at a little bit, because the variance of winning fights and not winning fights is enormously high.
Here's the interesting thing too, and it goes back to the blog post. The overarching issue with Sojourn in terms of balance is that she is probably, I'm not 100% sure, but I can almost guarantee she's probably absolute shit in low elo, because the left click is kind of hard to land. Especially if you're not very good at Overwatch is definitely not a game like Apex where everything's got bullet drop and everything's got what do you call it? I don't fucking. It's travel time or whatever. It's not pure hit scan.
Yeah.
Apart from charge rifle.
Projectiles.
Yeah, it's a projectile, right? And then the right click is another skill shot. So at lower elos, her win rate's probably lower than they are at high elos. Every single game that I've been in Grandmaster 5 around that kind of level, there's a Sojourn on the 100% of the time, more often than not. If there may be an Ash or whatever the fuck, but more often than not, it's Sojourn because she's how strong she is. And yeah, it's really fucking frustrating when overclock hits you and you just insta binned because you just can't do shit. And especially if they got bubble too, it's even worse, right? But overall, the win rate's probably sitting around the 50% mark because she's shit at low elo. Because
I would even take it one step further. If you were to ask silver players or console players why they thought the Sojourn was strong, I think they'd probably, like, some of them would respond to just like, oh, her damage of the primary fire is like really so much damage, or like the slowing orb is like really good. You slow people down and then you can kill them. Like, I don't even think lower skilled players like really know why Sojourn is overpowered. So, you know, the huge difference there, as Josh is saying, between like Grandmaster and lower ranks. I don't really think they put them
her kit is fundamentally an imbalanced type of kit, because there's not a really easy way to solve this other than making it harder to hit the shots.
Well,
or
they did
giving
that
her
before,
which they did. And people were like, "Oh, I can't kill anyone." It's like, yeah, bitch, you're missing. You're fucking missing the shots.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, because the thing is, if you nerf the damage of Sojourn's ult, what's the value of her ult comparatively, right? Because it's kind of just like, I'm just doing more damage, but like, I'm still a squishy DPS target. It's not like a blade where you're able to slash, dash, and like combo it and like kind of easily. Like, unless you're combining a nano with like a Sojourn ult, if you reduce the damage heavily, you're not really going to get a lot of value from it. And I would argue that like guaranteed not getting one shots, or at least not able to get one shots without a nano, or maybe that's the other way, is like, oh, you can't get a one shot without a nano. But blade, you can still burn through people pretty quickly if you're in close range. There's no cooldowns. Well, I don't think Sojourn ult, if you nerf the damage very significantly, would be nearly as effective at like long ranges, right? So it's kind of one of those things where if you nerf the damage a lot, then the viability of Sojourn falls off heavily, because that's one of the big reasons you play her, is the one shot.
What if in her ultimate it charged like fast again, but you removed the ability to do headshots? So it became more of like, it's a high, like almost, you could almost increase the shot size as well. So it becomes just like a body shot bandit. Like all of a sudden you're going to be able to do a ton of damage to people quickly, but at least that provides counterplay. Because the problem that I have is just, I get headshot. It's I'm go from 200 to 0. If you gave me an ability to drop a nade on myself, you gave me the ability to like do something like drop an ult like Transcendence, that would give me a little bit of a chance. But the problem is right now is that there is nothing that you can do that will provide any protection if they hit the shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you would change the way that like Sojourn works a lot, I think, because like, I guess
just if you
maybe if you removed headshot ability for the ultimate and then up the damage.
Yeah, like just anything that makes it less one shot. I think the one shot is the issue.
Yeah.
More than anything for me.
I could maybe see that, because maybe then at least there's still a viability to like engaging with the ult, and you have to respect it, but you're not like instantly dead. Because I think you still need to keep it lethal, because if it's not lethal, then her ult is really bad. You know, like her ult's like really bad if it's not lethal at all.
You could make it like well, people do this now, right? Damage boost, nano, Window's like a fucking classic one where she just sits behind it and goes bang, 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 and like 3 people die to body shots. That seems like, okay, there's a big investment there in terms of ultimates. So it feels a little bit better than, okay, she slid and then I just die. I don't know if you feel that way too, or there should be a gate where he has to headshot people through a window, but that seems like too little damage. Too much of a nerf on the damage front. It's so fucking difficult to nerf this, to change this hero. Holy moly!
And like, that's the problem with her.
God bless the game designers, Bren, and the balance team.
Especially doing it across multiple ranks. Because the problem is, it's like, as you said, it's oppressive in GM, but I think at lower ranks it's probably not as oppressive in the way that we're talking about. Yeah,
exactly. And that's why you see the play rates and the win rates pretty fucking even across the board. Where probably if you look at GM, she's like near the 60% mark, I would imagine, but can't tell you that for certain.
All right. There were a few more things in the blog post as well, but I don't really think we need to discuss them. I think we came into an agreement last week that like today is today anyway, with the introduction of Kiriko to ranked, we're entering the Kiriko apocalypse in ranked, and it's just going to be absolutely awful. Kiriko, we don't think is going to be a super strong pick in the ranked, and there's going to be some absolute throwmobiles out in ranked in full force.
I think she'll be good in ranked. I just don't think. Well, actually, I think she'll be. Not. I think she'll be good in ranked if you have a DM Lord. I don't think she's going to be that good. Actually, no, you know, I should reverse that. You're right. It's not going to be good in ranked. It's going to be potentially viable in pro play, but yeah.
Okay, here's the point I want to make. If you are listening to this and you're like, I'm going to play Kiriko in ranked, think about this. Play Kiriko a little bit and then go, would I be doing more if I just played Baptiste? And the answer would probably be 1,000% yes, because Baptiste is just fundamentally a much better hero.
This week, great opportunity to get a support duo and beat everyone else, other opponents who picks Kiriko. If you just play
Real.
Sen or something, and you just stick with your support duo for a week, beating all the Kuriko teams, you're gonna skyrocket in SR.
Yeah. Unless we're just wrong. I don't know. Like, we haven't seen her in competitive environments, but I haven't seen anyone say that they think she's good.
I've heard that some teams are already that she's kind of meta in the new scrims that have been happening.
Do you think
But
that
it's
first
too
of all,
early.
I don't doubt that. First of all, I don't doubt
Yeah.
that. But when it comes to the diamond Andes and bronze
No,
players,
that's the thing. Is it
diamond
also
Andes.
it requires an insane amount of coordination, and your support player has to be like actually hitting a decent amount of shots.
has to be Shu. Okay, so
Yeah.
if you're Shu, disregard everything we said. Everyone else, maybe not.
Well, you don't only have to be shoot, but like the way that she's being used is like very, very interesting. Supposedly, of like imagine Lucio Brigida, but you replace the Brigida with Kiriko, and it's
You
a
just
full
dive, right?
rush,
Yeah.
and then you dive, and Kiriko TPs with your Genji to dive the backline.
Yeah.
That's what I thought would kind of happen.
Yeah.
But here was my counterpoint to like, because that is theoretically how her kit is used, right? She dives with everyone. She's kind of supports with Lucio. She has great single target heals, so she can heal your tank, all that kind of stuff. She can keep someone alive. My counterpoint is, I don't know if the dive would ever be strong enough to just beat a good Xayah Lucio BAP composition in the current meta or something like that, right? So unless Xayah gets hard nerfed and then like playing slower just like gets rolled, but like, I don't know.
I think it's strong enough because before, when you had like a Brigida, like pretty much you were never able to like, there were still points where Lucio Brigida could like poke out and rush into a BAP team, you know? They could still do it, but it was hard. But now you literally have an immortality of your own. And you have an ult that's even better for the engage with Kiriko's ult, and she does more neutral damage. So like,
Does she do
theoretically,
more neutral damage though? Because
She does,
the,
yeah.
the inconsistency of hitting headshots is pretty crazy.
Oh, okay,
Her
sure.
body
Okay,
shot
yeah, I
damage
guess if you remove the
is
inconsistency,
kind of shit.
Especially, I assume you guys play Kiriko. When I have played her, most of my damage comes from a neutral fight where I'm just fucking shooting down a corridor in the general direction of people.
And you hope you
a
hit a
lot of
headshot.
it comes when I'm actually in a 1v1 close fight because it gets very difficult to hit the shots when you're getting in a close
That's fair.
fight.
But this is simply from the grapevine of team. Now, also, it's too early to know what teams in playoff meta is going to be with Kiriko, like how she's going to factor in. This is just an initial first week and a half, 2 weeks of like scrims of like seeing various teams dealing with it.
And everyone's
like,
going to
some
try
teams,
it, right?
Yeah, everyone's going to try it. And some teams have been really embracing like a Lucio Kiriko rush or dive, really, more so than a rush. It's like a
Probably
dive.
Glads, if I had to guess.
I haven't been
Lucio,
told the teams exactly,
Shu on
but like
Kiriko.
it's
Yeah.
there's been a
It
couple
just screams
squads.
gladiators though, no? That
It
kind
does.
of
You can
so-
see Funny
Jesus,
Astro being like,
man.
finally, I don't have to
Yeah.
protect anyone. They can protect
Yeah,
themselves.
exactly.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can even combo with stuff like Echo, where you can TP to your Echo up in the air and drop
Yeah.
down. Like,
That's
so it's like
pretty sick.
there's a lot of interesting components with it, but like I don't know. I think personally, like she won't be very good. She won't. I also don't know if she's gonna be like sustained enough, anyways, because like we've mentioned, her utility is still and healing output is still so low comparatively to like a Xin or an Ana or even a BAP.
I also think it's actually quite difficult to heal like a Genji or a Tracer with her healing because it is that like projectile thing. Like you can do a ton of healing if you're just like looking at a diva that's taking 1 million damage, right? But I don't know.
Yeah, the
I'm
cards
curious.
float quite slowly. So like if the Genji dashes away, like you're probably not going to get the instant impact of healing, like with a lot of other heroes.
Yeah, I'm not willing to go out on a ledge and say that it's going to be amazing for pro play. I'm also not going to go say that it's not going to have any pro play. I think we're going to see her in the playoffs. I think we'll see her in the playoffs, but I can't tell you if it's a must pick or if it's just some teams trying to force it. I'm kind of leaning towards the Overwatch League champions probably won't play her majority of the time. That's where I'm leaning, but we'll see. Nevertheless, I think it's a bad pick for ranked. If you're not super mechanically strong and super good teamwork, I don't think it's a good pick for ranked, unless you're like master, grandmaster even. But anyway, there you go. There was also, they mentioned some hero pool thing. I don't really, or not hero pool, thank God, map pool thing for ranked. I don't really care to talk about that right now. Maybe we'll address it at some later point, and we'll discuss it then. We got some. Let's get to the meat and bones of the show. Okay, we got some real stuff to talk about. We got the 2022 Overwatch League regular season concluding, so let's review it. All right, I think for the most part we can separate playoffs into its own thing. You know, there's teams that are really strong in the playoffs, but the regular season, great sample size. Got some stages behind us. Overall, we concluded here. So I've chosen a few different categories, and I just want to review the few different categories and, you know, get a vibe check of how good this season was. So we have the meta. We'll talk about the meta this year. The season format, the overall hype of this season, star players and personality, and memes. All right, those are my 5 categories for this season. So let's kick it off. The meta this year. If we're just gonna talk about the meta, I'm not looking to talk about the teams, how good the teams did, all that stuff. Just talking about the meta. Comparing to other Overwatch League seasons, what did we think of the meta throughout this year?
I think this has been the best meta diversity and core and like the best metas we've ever seen in any league season in the past. I think if you compare it to previous seasons, you can't even say season 3 in 2020 because that was like hero pools, fucky wucky, just chaos.
Forced metas.
Yeah, like forced metas. Like there was a bunch of really good metas between it. You know, we had what was it, like a Winston dive meta in the first stage, and then Dallas played that little bit of Zaya at the end. And then in the second stage, we had Sojourn be really good in the mid-season madness. There was still a little bit of dive, but it was a really interesting back and forth. Third meta, as much as, you know, people hate Jotes, it was actually kind of interesting and kind of cool for a short, like, niche meta in the middle of it. And then this last stage, I think there was a lot of different things. There's been diversity, but they've been fun ones for the most part. I really like that we saw a bit of this Zaya type style at the end. In the past, I don't think we've ever had like the diversity of metas which have interesting different play styles like we've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the same lines. I think having a static meta and Jotes, I think was fine. Maybe it did last too long, but then we had a year and a bit of Goats. So like, I'm not too worried about that, to be very honest with you. It was nice to see, in a sense, a very static meta, because then it really like kind of defined teams in a way and did show their strength and weaknesses a little bit more because it was a pure mirror. And then, like you said, Scott, it's been very varied throughout the entire year. And that's, you know, mad props to the devs and the balance team, like actually going kind of hard on some of these changes. Obviously, it wasn't in the actual game. It was on the Overwatch League client or whatever because the game wasn't out. But I think overall it's been super good. And I think it kind of translates right now into actual ranked where a lot of things are pretty viable, which is really exciting. Like I've seen Ryan, I've seen fucking Zara, Diva, obviously. But there's a little bit of variance here and there and everywhere, which is, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. But where I stand on the Jotes thing, because I think the Jotes thing is going to be the biggest kind of like thing, the biggest meta to be like held against the 2022 season is like we played Jotes for an entire stage. My stance on that thing is I don't think it's going to be the last time we ever have like 100% pick rate hero. Like that's going to happen again. It happened to be a sustained meta with Lucio and Shout and Brig and Spire Healing, but that's going to happen again. The fact that it only lasted for a stage, great sign for the future. Good sign that they're like willing to change things and like we're not going to get goats for a year and a half. But like I was fine with it because I know that that's just going to happen once in a while. It happened once this season and we had 3 other stages and hopefully a playoffs with diversity. Great. I mean, I can't ask for more. It's not going to be perfect all the time. So I'm kind of fine with the Jotes meta as a one-off. There were many other reasons why that stage just sucked as well. The game wasn't released yet. And, you know, it was probably like the least entertaining stage, least exciting stage. Like, so, you know, there were many things that could be held against the Summer Showdown stage. But I think that's just, we're going to get those metas sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally no, it's very hard to not have like, there's always going to be at some points, everyone just has to understand there's always going to be probably metas that aren't good. You know, it's always going to happen at some point. It's just a natural result of releasing new characters and like balancing and such. It's just more so like how long do they last? To me, if a meta lasted a stage and that's it, that's fine. That was the issue with balancing with Overwatch. It was never that we got bad metas. We should always expect bad metas. It's that they shouldn't last for 8 months. To actually more than that. It was like what, like a year for like goats, longer. And then a year for like you know, a year.
Contenders have goats for a year and a half.
That's ridiculous. That's insane. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But if it's like a stage, that's fine. You know, like a stage is like, okay, like we did our time. Like it happens. Sometimes like a meta is not going to be perfect. You get 3/4 of the year is like a very solid or varied meta. And then you get 1 year. It's like you get one stage. It's like, yeah, it's not my ideal meta, but it's like different. Still, it's a different type of meta. That's not a bad thing. that's still like an interesting mechanic and like part of the game, right? It's like it's only an issue to me if it locks out like for a year. If it stays for a year plus, then it's a fucking problem. Or if it's like so oppressive that, but yet I don't even think Jotes was like that insanely oppressive still in the same way that Goats. So yeah, I still think that like it's fine.
There we go. So if we're to rank the meta of this season 1 through 10, what do we say? It's up there, right? Give us a number.
7.
7?
Yeah, I was going to say 8. I think it's pretty.
Yeah, I'd agree with 8.
Pretty elite.
I think it was up there. I think it was,
But I hold like ones at like a pretty low standard. Like I think Goats was like a 4. Season 3 was like a 1.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds like an 8. 8 for meta. We'll jot that down. We'll give the meta an 8. All right. There we go. Season format. I know people have thoughts about this. 1 through 10. What do we think about the season format?
All right. I want to go. I want to talk about this. Sean Miller, if you're listening to this, Matt, I know you don't listen to Plat Chat, but yeah, come here. We got to get rid of regular season. Like I think we just need to get rid of the idea of regular seasons. I think the way, like we've already shown that the success of tournament formats breaking into 4 stages is really cool. I think you could do a much better thing by almost having it like, don't call it regular season, just call it like a group stage of that tournament. And then we go into the playoffs at the end, and then people get points that accrue towards their end of season playoffs. And that's how we determine that. Like, it's not regular season games. There's too much random stuff like match win percentage, league points, all that kind of stuff. I think you can make a much better format by just removing the idea of regular season and adding it'll give you a lot of freedom to do better things that will have better competitive integrity and take away games that don't matter as much and have every match matter a lot more for that stage playoffs and the end of season playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, personally, but if you're gonna want me to rate it, I'm gonna give this season like a 5. Like,
wow,
perfectly average. But part of it's not its fault because we're playing on a game for the majority of the year that did not exist. But like, for example, like the things they did right, kept the tournament format, and like, you know, they sort of evened up the strength of schedule issues. Things, so that's like, okay, not bad. Also, no more hero pools, and like, you know, we kept metas for like each stage. So like, okay, solid, like not creating some amount of variability. Cons. Holy fuck, the midseason madness and the points that were built in before that from like, what was the very first tournament? Like Kickoff Clash. Holy goddamn shit. That was an atrocity of balance. Secondly, why in the goddamn fuck, if we have an even amount of teams, are there teams playing twice in the first half of the season versus like once in the first half and once in the second half to like split? Like that's a nonsense. It's literally mathematical nonsense. I don't understand how that even occurred. So those are my, and then finally, I think I understand the reasons and such, but I think we could have had another tournament, and I think playoffs could have been a LAN event. So like, but not necessarily a crowd. Like, yeah, I would like it to all be there. Everyone's playing in playoffs at an event. There doesn't have to be a crowd for all of it.
But isn't that what they're doing? There's everyone's at playoffs. Yeah. The 12 teams qualify.
No, but I'm also including play-ins.
Play-ins.
I want it all playoffs. I want everything playoff related. All, because we don't have a fucking final tournament anyways. We should all have like a one big event. But I understand the reasonings for why. I'm not dumb. I know that there's no fucking money. So like, okay, sure. But like, still, I still think there's like, that would be nice. So overall, there's like been good stuff. There's been bad stuff. I'm going to put it perfectly average in terms of, I'm going to give it a perfectly average. I wasn't overly impressed in any way, but I wasn't heartbroken. It was just fine. It was fine.
All right. What do you think of the season format, Jaws?
Yeah, I think I do kind of agree with what Connor was saying. Yeah, having the LAN event at the end of the year, I think, yeah, there's a lot to do with on the back end of things like money and shit like that. That's tough, real tough, very unlucky.
Tough.
But I think having a 4th tournament would have been good. Like the Countdown Cup be a proper tournament, because it feels a little bit strange. It's like, okay, we're in the Countdown Cup, but there's no Countdown Cup. It's just the qualifiers, which leads into the play-ins, which goes into the playoffs. That feels a little bit strange to me. It disingenuous in a way that it's like, oh, it sounds like another tournament. If you looked at the format of, if you're like, maybe not a brand new viewer, but you're like, oh, I want to tune into the Overwatch League. Oh, they run any tournaments and shit. They're doing the tournament format. Okay. And then you see all the names lined up. You're like, oh, there's 4 tournaments this year. That's fucking sick. And then the last one is actually not a tournament. It's just qualifiers, which leads to play-ins. I think that feels a bit weird. And I actually really like what Custa was saying about regular season not existing, going to group stage formats for the tournaments, and then kind of rolling on from there into play-ins and playoffs. It feels a little bit better, because the worst thing about casting the regular season is when you get to the end of the year, some of those games mean fuck all. And it's like, okay, they have to play them because they could have meant something, but they don't mean shit. And that's for the majority of the time. To be fair, you'll always find this in every league. There's no system that's perfect, but it still doesn't feel great to have games that don't really mean anything. Like, oh, they can place higher. Wait, they can't because maths. Hang on a second.
Sorry, now that you mention it, like, I think because the way they sort of said it was that the reason we're not doing a tournament is there's play-ins. But I think Connor's right in the idea that it's like play-ins just aren't exciting. There's nothing sexy about these play-ins right now. Yeah. Of like the APAC ones have come and gone, and they just like, all right, Hongzhou made it out. Cool.
Yeah.
And then this weekend, there's nothing special happening to sort of like, if it was at LAN, it might be more hype because like teams are playing for their lives in this season on a LAN environment. But because that doesn't exist, it just feels like an extension of the regular season. So it doesn't feel like we're accruing to anything. So maybe that would have solved that problem. Yeah, you're right.
It feels very anti-hype, right? Like we didn't get a tournament, like there's nothing involved with it. And at the same point, like if everyone's going to be coming over for playoffs anyways, you might as well just start it early with the play-ins and have everyone show up and like, or just only fly out the play-ins teams early. But like, to me, it's like, why not just, if you want it to be a big event and you're not having now I'd get it more if there was a countdown cup, because then it's like, well, we just had another tournament. But if we're not having another tournament, then there should have been some more, overruling the playoffs. Hell, I would like in the future if we had a countdown cup type of thing and then play-ins and playoffs all in the LAN tournament. That would just be nice.
That would be the perfect
scenario. Yeah, it's like that would be nice because then it feels like a spectacle. It feels like a spectacle in that case. You want your playoffs, which you've been off whole year, to be a spectacle. I also am totally down for tournaments because even though there's pros and cons for both the way we currently do it and a tournament style system, I would just like to see it just to see it. Because like, why not just spend a season seeing how it feels? Because I know there are pros and cons to both systems, and just to see how it goes for a season. Like, okay, how does it feel if we only have tournaments? Because we know it works elsewhere, and how would it work here and how we do it, and would it make it feel more exciting? And if it doesn't feel more exciting to the majority of people, then we can always just revert back. Like that's the benefit of like the league system that we currently have, is we could, and just in general, like the developer Overwatch League running it, is they can just change the format however which they please. Like they're not beholden to anyone, so just try it out.
Yeah. I mean, I have a few thoughts on that as well. I thought it was interesting that towards the end of the year, even though the matches mattered way less, obviously with Overwatch 2 coming out, like our viewership got a decent bump, like more than I expected it to. Like we went from 50%. Having from like 24,000 views at sometimes at a slow point this season towards the end, to like 43 for like this past weekend where we had like meaningless matches being played. So like, people wanted to tune in, and then you have like the discoverability problem. I just thought that was interesting. I think for the most part, like tournaments are obviously going to be way more hype. Like they're going to be way more exciting, get people talking about it, like stuff on the line, skin in the game, just like elimination factored in. It's just way more interesting in that regard. But also, like we need to make sure that like the Overwatch League is on. Like I think if the Overwatch League is on, if we're doing matches, who cares if like they're the most important matches in the world, or they're just like, hey, you get like a league point for winning or whatever. Like people want to just like have it on their second monitor. Like they want to just watch the Overwatch League. So the more hours we can broadcast, I think just like the better for the league. Like I think people are just willing to like have it on. And so I guess I'm worried with tournaments is that like maybe you have like less viewer hours because tournaments. You can
do group stages. Do you want to go back to 40 matches?
No.
Yeah, if you want it on, I don't understand. Because if your argument's like I want it on all the time, then yeah, we should just do 40 matches, right?
Yeah.
So
I just find it interesting. Like I'd ask myself this: like, why do we need like a multi-month off season? Like, do we
yes,
need?
that's the
that is
real
another,
issue.
yeah.
That's the
Oh,
issue.
that
We
was
should do
I
6
think is,
tournaments
like,
a year,
we
right?
should
Like,
have like
yeah.
maybe a 2-month off season.
Yeah, I'd stretch like a 2 month, even like, okay, worst case scenario, like I'm really off the goop, like a month of off season, and like people,
sure.
I think there's a real like you look at regular sports like NBA, NFL, and it's like most of that stuff I think is just fatigue related. Like the players are like doing physical exercise, like and you see that with like injuries and like
also they have to
strain
travel
and,
an insane amount too.
Like,
yeah.
Of course they need like so many months off, but like us, we're just playing video games. What do you think the pros are doing during off season? They're just playing ranked.
Also, if we do a tournament system, we can have more downtime between tournaments.
Yeah,
Like
you can do like
we
a
could
month
do like a
break in the
tournament
middle.
that's on, then we have like a couple, like a week or so, and then but the thing is, we get to stretch the season for longer. So there's still more Overwatch being played with more tournament hypes and a shorter off season. Which by God, that's the next thing. I know it's not related to the season format, but dear God, we cannot have another 6-month off season.
That was ridiculous.
It cannot happen.
There is no fucking way they're gonna have another 6 months off season. That is probably
3 months, I'd still
first-
say is pushing it. It needs to be like 2 months. You know,
I think
months.
3 month
I like the
max,
idea.
because we're talking about the holidays and stuff too, right? I think 3 month is probably like, okay, this is pretty reasonable. 6 months, yeah, is fucking absurd.
I like the idea of having like a finals, like was it Valorant that did, like most esports actually, they have their finals around like the start of December, and then we're back on like start of February. Get half of December, January off, and then we start at February again.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then like
That
I
seems like
think
the
you can
perfect
do like if you wanted to like, because we're extending the season at that point, if you did 3 tournaments, a mid-season tournament, and then you have like a 3-week to a 4-week break where teams can like rebuild rosters, do any of that kind of stuff, and then you go into another 3 tournament cycle, you do the playoffs, and then you just do it all again. Like I think that would keep the flow going, as you said, Johnny, because like the big problem that the Overwatch League had is that like we took a 6-month break and most people didn't even realize we started again. Like it's just too hard. So
you can't have that.
Care.
That's ridiculous. 6 months is like just an impassable like thing. Like you literally cannot expect to have any growth in your league if you're off for half the year.
Yeah,
That's just not possible.
with like 2 months off, then you can have like the community around the game to like actually like make content and keep people interested. Whether it's like roster change videos, it's our rankings or like stuff like that. Plat chat during that 6-month break, holy shit, we had to get on some shrooms or some shit to cook up like the topic list, because Jesus, we were so starved of stuff to talk about for that long. But like 2 months, I think that'd be the great 2-month period to just like rest up, and like you can like, do we want a new graphics package, or I don't know, I'm just speculating, like improve some stuff, whatever. But yeah, we like people lose interest in the game, and they're not going to follow to make sure like when it boots up again. Like, you know, we live in this kind of world now where it's like you need to get people into the routine of following the Overwatch League, and if they lose that routine, if they start doing something else, it's super hard to get people back. So yeah, there we go. Anyway, wrapping up the season format. Avast had 5. Custa?
I'm gonna go 6, but I'm just gonna be generous because I think it's been the best out of all of them ever.
Joss, give me a number.
Yeah, I'd say like I was gonna say like 7. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's perfect in any way, but yeah, I think tournament format's the way to fucking go, baby. Creates hype throughout the year. I think it's sick.
I'll say 6 as well. We can round out at 6 about that. I will say mid-season madness, so hype. You know, it's a shame we didn't get all teams in the same location. Mid-season madness, great addition to the regular season. Love that.
Yeah,
really good stuff. All right, season format number 6. Overall hype of this season. How hyped were you guys throughout this season? Did you? Because here's what I'll say. Okay. If the game was out throughout the regular season, I would have played a shit ton of Overwatch 2. Watching the regular season, watching the games, following the Overwatch League, I was so excited to play this game, and the fact that I couldn't play the game was the most disheartening part about the hype of the entire season, because the league genuinely made me want to play the game. And I think that's a great basic standard for like how good is the product. It's like, can you get people excited for them to like play it yourself?
I'm 100% in that boat. Like every time, like going back to non-Overwatch 2, Overwatch 1 back in like 2020 and 2021, every time I come off cast, I'm like, yeah, I want to play. I'm going to play now. I'm going to play for another couple of hours. Like after I shut all my shit down and fucking, yeah, I'm just going to get some gaming hours in. That was the biggest disappointment for me. I'm like a little rank demon though, and I'll just like sit and DJ and play for like 12 hours a day. But
You're a little rank
it's
demon.
like, yeah, like it's that is not everybody. But like for me, it was anti-hype in that way because I'm casting and I'm like, oh fuck, you know, dude, I fucking live for casting. I get up and I'm like, I want to cast every single day, but I can't. I say this in my stream all the time, but like, if I could cast literally every single day, I fucking would, like 100%. I just really love doing it. And with Overwatch, it's like, I want to play the fucking game that I'm casting. And that was the biggest like downer for me this year. It was like, I couldn't come off of broadcast and then jump into ranked. And that, I wouldn't say it like killed it for me, but it was definitely like like when the alpha and the beta came out and shit like that, I was like gaming all the fucking time and it felt super nice. But then having that taken away from me was like, fuck, dude. Like all I want to do is play. It was boring in a way because I don't know about you guys, but I'm very much like a one track, like maybe two, you know, WoW and fucking Overwatch at this point. Well, Dragonflight pre-patch comes out soon, so you know. But I want to play 2 games or like 1 game religiously. And like that for me is Overwatch. And so not being able to play that was like, but this sucks. This really sucks. And obviously as a viewer too, right? There's probably some people like me. I'm watching shit. Cool. I want to go fucking play that hero. I want to do this shit. And you can't. And that was the most anti-hype thing about me, about the year for me. Like it sucks. But now it's out. So like, you know, woo.
Give it a number.
Give it a number. It's hard because I'd want to take lots of points off because I couldn't play the game.
And do it.
Probably like 7 again. I know that's like 7 Andy, right? But yeah, I think about 7. Honestly,
I personally wouldn't go that high, but
no, yeah, okay. I'll go in next. I'll follow. I'm gonna go with a 4. I think not being able to play the game. It was cool that we had Overwatch 2, but there was a lot of bugs with that. The mid-season tournament still having to do it in Hawaii kind of sucks. So maybe the hype level will change after we do the playoffs for the season, but yeah, I'm just gonna go with the 4. I think it's been hard to do another online season with very little number of LANs, and even the LANs we have done, it feels like a very select group is the one traveling. So hopefully we can start getting teams together more following years.
I'll give it a 3.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think it would have gone up higher if Midseason Madness had the teams competing on LAN. But Midseason Madness was a huge letdown for me. And also the lack of time that's going to be dedicated for playoffs. So, and then on top of the Overwatch 2 issues. So, but like, you know, once again, to me, like I said at the beginning, this year was a wash from the get-go. It's like, okay, everyone, it's the lights at the end of the tunnel. Let's hope we fucking make it. So, like, I never really had like a lot of, I didn't really have a huge expectation for this year. And I think overall, the things that they've done well have been great. So, like, I think for what this year was going into it, the staff and broadcast and everything have handled it really well. So like it's pretty much the best you could ask for what we were given to work with for this year.
Oh, I just thought about that. Yeah, that's a good point. Broadcast too. Yeah, maybe I do knock it down a little bit there because some bits in the broadcast really kind of. Yeah, that really. I'd probably honestly knock it down. Just how frustrating some things have been. Like technically, I do want to change my answer. I'd give it like a 5.5 or something, or maybe a 6 if I'm being generous, because there have been some things where I'm like, this just below. It's not something, and that's like something that the audience and shit don't see, or maybe they do, especially the fucking last day of broadcast recently, where there was a huge delay and you could like easily tell.
Dude, did you see the crosstalk we did this weekend
with Mitch and Matt?
With Mitch and Matt, yeah,
and I was
it was like a 4-second delay.
Yeah, that delay that everybody was seeing, by the way, is like what we kind of have. Yeah, and like it's like, dude, that delay is insane. Like you can't. I love crosstalk. I think it's one of the funniest points of the show because the casters, especially not when they're not in a studio, they can't interact with the desk as much. But when there is that small delay, it's like
it's just really hard to talk.
It is really hard to talk, and it's one of the funnier portions of the show too. And yeah, that for me is like disappointing. I'm like kind of sad about that. Yeah, I didn't really think about that side of things, to be honest with you. So yeah, maybe I should knock my score a little bit down.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you guys, and I'm going to step on the next topic as well. So, I think we sat around about a 4 to 5, stuff like that, and I think a big part of that is just like the game wasn't out yet, which is unfortunate. But I want to step on the next topic as well. So we decided for about a 4, 4 for overall hype, star players and personality. So this ties into to my hype as well. I think we were a bit of a transitional year when it comes to like recognizing who are the star players in our league. And vested interest in teams, in players, and stuff like that. Like previous years, we've had a pretty good hierarchy of like who are the most popular teams, who are the most popular players, who has the best story, stuff like that. There were a lot of rookies. There were a lot of like great rookies this year, and I think for the most part, like I think we're in a bit of a transition where we like understand our star players and we relate to them in a way. Like Super, for example, like obviously a star player in that way, like face of the San Francisco Shock, big personality, stuff like that. Most people, they know he's from like a Philadelphia, and shit talks a little bit, and he's a Philadelphia sports kind of guy. But even like some of the stars, just like I found it a bit. If there's one regret I had on the broadcast this year, it's honestly that I think at times I would have liked to done a better job myself of like highlighting these stars, not for their play and not for like their stats per 10 minutes and like their ranks and stuff like that, but like who they are as individuals, and like getting the fans interested in like why should we cheer for Kalush? Like what is Kalush's story? Like what do we know about Kalush, and who is this guy, and like why should people cheer for Kalush? That goes for other people as well. Like Atlanta Reign, tons of rookies for the Atlanta Reign this year, and like what do we know about the Atlanta Reign? They're great in playoffs. Gator NFT story, and that's about it. Like we don't know anything about these guys. Like Vigilante, people like Christopher said in that interview, like we talked about last week. Christopher said like Vigilante is like the best flex support in NA right now, and we don't know anything about this guy. So like that sort of like steps on the hype category a little bit as well. And it's my job as well. Like I feel like I should have done a better job like highlighting some of these stories and these players as well, because I really do think that we have tons of talent, but we're also like we're moving away from like some of the common names. Like we're moving into a new era with new star players and new personalities, and I think we need to do a good job of promoting these personalities and their backgrounds and their stories, and like what do they play for, and how was their journey here and stuff like that. So we had Parifan, as someone mentioned in chat. Like Parifan was a great story. That's about as close as we get to like a hype story. It's like, oh my god, Parifan and the LA Gladiators are doing it. They're winning a stage, and like he was.
That was
so
by
excited.
far the best story we had all year.
Yeah.
In terms of a storyline that the Overwatch League produced, the Patapan storyline was probably the best, other than like some of the memes with London. No?
Yeah, and we need more of that.
I see. Here's my thing, Johnny, because I completely agree with you. But my biggest issue that I think that we're having is we don't have enough shoulder content, and the teams aren't making enough of their own content as well. So I think it's what's happening is like if you go back to like the 2018, 2019 era, when me or Avast were there, like we made so much content for the league, for your team, for that kind of stuff, and that helped people get attached. I wouldn't be here in this like position that I am if Dallas Fuel hadn't made so much content around me, Valiant hadn't made so much content around me, and then the league had also like helped elevate me in a lot of ways. And it really gives people a sense of like who the person is, why they should cheer for them, and then start building. It's not, we talk about players on the desk, like about how they perform in the server, how they play in a lot of ways, but the reality is I also don't know anything about these players. We don't meet these players because we're doing an online broadcast. You don't get to see their personalities in walkouts, in those type of situations. We only see that little box when they win, right? So unless you're being absolutely extreme, like someone,
like
right?
someone,
yeah, like someone, we don't really get those personality out of players. So I'm hoping that as we go back towards hopefully more LAN performances or in-person events, all that kind of stuff, that the teams start creating more content, the broadcast starts showing personality of these players, but also the league is putting more investment and resources into making shoulder content for these players, for these teams, to elevate these superstar players and give people an insight to who they are as people and not just them in the in the game.
I had a really frustrating, like kind of like epiphany almost the other week. And I was thinking about this because I want to, there's lots of new people like watching Overwatch 2, watching the Overwatch League and stuff like that. And like, how do we like introduce these players to these new viewers who maybe haven't followed the Overwatch League in the past? And it had this epiphany, and it made me really frustrated. Like, I don't know anything about Prophet. Prophet is the greatest of all time. He is the GOAT of the Overwatch League currently. And I don't know anything about the guy. And I feel
Soul
like
makes good content.
sorry.
Soul makes good content.
They make good content. Yeah, it
yeah,
could totally be out there. I will not say that like the content maybe isn't out there. I know there's been some articles written, like maybe there's good video content, but like I'm frustrated with myself that I don't know anything about Profit. And maybe I should have gone out there and like pursue that content. Maybe that content is out there. I'm not saying it isn't. Maybe some people have done great content. But like maybe it is region gated. Sure. Yeah. Like language barrier, stuff like that. But like to the average viewer of like the Overwatch League broadcast, like these people need to know about Profit and his story. He's like he's the closest we have to a GOAT. And so I think that can be applicable. And I personally want to work to do a better job at like promoting these stories, because that's how we get people invested into the league. We get people buying into these narratives, these stories, like, and so yeah, I'd really like to do that better. I'll say that.
Yeah, and that just requires a lot more. And the thing is, it's like it's easy to, I think, for individuals to beat themselves up over it when it's like a systematic issue and not an individual issue. Because like the scene that currently kills it in the game, does it the best, and it's just bar none, they do it the best, is Valorant. They do it the best with like building up their storylines for their players and stuff. But you know what the difference is? They put a shit ton of investment into like crew. They send crews out to where they boot camp. And like they send, and like all the teams are like, and this is also an org issue too. It's not just a league issue. Like Custa highlighted, these orgs don't invest in content anymore. And part of that is, and honestly, not just part of that, the majority of that reason is a financial reason, though. There is a real reason why that happens. But if you're a team that's currently heavily invested, if you are not making content, then I don't know exactly what you're doing. Is the thing. Like, it's like if you're throwing buku bucks and like building good rosters, but you're not putting out solid content and like consistent content, then you're also failing your investment. And that's obviously contingent. Like there's plenty of teams that aren't putting out that money and they're not going to be spending money to make content either. So like their priorities are currently very different than that. But like it's definitely a systematic problem. And a lot of it is also because of the region gating, but you can solve that quite easily. And like you just have to make sure that you are subtitling the content. You are getting it out there for your audience to see. You're promoting it. Like there's a lot of different ways to do it. And it just hasn't been happening. And almost all of it can be traced back to a financial, realistically. So.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. I'd love to produce content around players. There was a League of Legends thing, like when I was casting it back in like 2017 or something. I think it was called Legends, and it just took a star player from a lot of the teams. I think it was Faker, Uzi, might have been there was two other people I can't remember off the top of my head, but those are the ones I remember specifically that went to their hometown where their like parents live, and they just interviewed the parents, they interviewed the player, and they talked about like, you know, League of Legends and like, oh, your son's like a pro gamer, what do you think? And like, oh, this is it Peanut that his mum owns like a small Korean restaurant? Yeah, and it's just, oh, well, he's got a vacation vlog. That's kind of sick, actually.
This is Smurf vlog.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jaws. I just figured out how to Soul's content.
So, and the thing is, Soul are one of the few orgs that do it right.
Yeah,
but go on.
Yeah, and it's just that kind of content really resonates with people because you do see the personality of the players, and like you were saying, or like everybody's been saying, like that is what makes people cheer for that person. Like, unless you are like someone who's going kind of fucking ballistic on camera, you know, screaming and stuff like that, people love that shit because it shows like a big personality, and not having that shown to everybody on like a weekly or like even a monthly basis kind of thing is kind of unfortunate. And I'd almost kind of hoped there was a few points where like I pitched a couple of things, but I'm not sure if they're going to go through. But like, I hope that with playoffs around the corner, you could almost do this kind of content where you're showing off some of the players from each team and their journey as an Overwatch player, and as like a fucking professional player too, just in general. Like, oh, where did you start? Did you start in like did you sign like TF2 or like whatever, you know, or coming into Overwatch? So yeah, it's a little bit, yeah, again, it's kind of like disappointing that certain players aren't getting highlighted more. And I do want to say, and this goes back to my point earlier about like some delays and like what Scott was saying, like with Mitch about the crosstalk and stuff. A lot of this stuff is impassable barriers. Like production aren't really at fault here for any of this. This is just a technical limitation. It fucking blows. This is like talking about the delays and shit. It's just something we have to deal with. And it's almost the same here, where it's not like a technical limitation. It's more of a limitation of budget and money not being thrown in the right kind of directions to help spearhead this content, which is, yeah, it does kind of suck. Like, you obviously want people to be fans of the league and the teams and the players, and you've got to kind of start with the players, and then there'll be more fans and tune in more, maybe have their favorite team jersey or whatever.
I think the big thing for me, and this is relevant to like so many things in the Overwatch League, is that we used to have that content, and we have had it at some point, but we just slowly pull back, right? Like, we did used to have content. Remember when Overwatch as a whole did that like individual piece on Mickey, on IDDQD?
Dude, those cost so much money.
They cost a ridiculous amount of money, and like they were at an extreme level of like they shouldn't have been doing it to that level degree. But like, you know, with the Valorant one of us, like I watched the BCJ one they made on XSET for champs, and like that made me a fan of BCJ, and it made me a fan of XSET.
They also do so many cutouts of like, they don't even necessarily do full docu pieces. They'll do short bust out pieces or just breakout pieces of like, they'll take the team and like build like a cool hype graphic, and it has clips of the players from this team and like introduce them and like click little short audio clips of them, like literally just small things like that. There's so many, and they're making sure also, most importantly, when they're starting the tournament, they do these cool, fucking amazing ass team intros where they're making poses or talking to the camera. Everything's subtitled so you can hear what they're saying. You can understand their mindset and such. It's just so important that like, it's not just about making the content. It's about like, we need to put that visibility to the audiences that can't reach them. So like for example, Soul Dynasty's content, I think they're one of the few that kind of still puts effort into it. But like that, they're not, content isn't being amplified to any of our Western audience at all. Literally zero. And then for the inverse is true for a lot of our Western players. That content isn't being amplified for some of our like Eastern audience, for the Korean and Chinese fans, right? And it's just like an issue across the board. Like, some of our best piece of content is someone just going on to fucking Weibo and translating the Chinese Weibo pages about like the names that they have for players, right? Imagine if we had any segments of that, like, you know, like there, and we could have got like Emily Tangerine to like host them or something, you know, like there's so many facets that have just been lost currently, which I think there's still, but it's not unfixable. It's not unfixable. It just requires agency and money to do.
Yeah, like it all goes back to the fact that like it does feel like they're just not really investing in anywhere near to the same degree of that they were planning. And like, you know, mate, hopefully, you know, let's put on our hopium pants, right? You know, Overwatch 2 becoming a bit more of a successful game. There being money coming in, there being a justification for investing in the Overwatch League. Again, we're out of COVID for the most part. We're going back to regularity where we can have teams go to LAN. Fucking now's the time, right? Like, if there was ever a time to start throwing money back at the problem, now is it. And I really hope that that's the direction we're going. But please, I guess I'm just begging at this point.
There has to be start somewhere, you know? You have to start somewhere or they're never going to get bigger. So
it's, man, I'm like getting a little bit more frustrated every second we kind of talk about this topic, because
I'm just gonna scream into the mic.
I'm gonna go crazy. I feel well right now, so I'm not gonna be fucking doing that shit. But like, I guess it's frustrating, especially with death segments and stuff like that. Like, I'm doing Overwatch right now, right? Where it's like, if we didn't have that, what would we have in its place?
Yeah,
nothing.
You know,
it's like, wait, what? Like, why? Why isn't there little bits and pieces there? For me, that doesn't really make a lot of sense, I guess.
And Overwatch is a fun segment. It's a little fun segment. It's one of the first like it's like, obviously we've tried to do more in the past, but like, you know, things like that are always fun.
Yeah,
it's like,
people generally like that shit. And it's just like, if I didn't propose that idea, which I, by the way, sat on for a long time.
Yeah, you had to work hard to get that going, right? Like, to get that green lit.
That is a whole other fucking thing. But like, actually getting that shit out there, it's just like, well, it didn't replace anything. And which is fine, you know, brand new things coming in is great. But like, if that wasn't there, it's like, would it just be a break screen, I guess? So like, that kind of, for me, in my perspective, is kind of frustrating. Like, I want to make the league, and I'm sure all of you are the same, right? You want to make the league as best as possible, as like hype as possible, and as fun to watch as possible. And yeah, some of those goals, I guess, have been kind of failed. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just kind of disappointing. Just kind of disappointing.
Okay, trust that money will return one day, And if not, well, then it doesn't matter anyways because it's gonna be dead. So like, there's only 2 options. So you just gotta trust.
Yeah, I'll 100% back the amplifying the team's videos, because there are generally teams that make that content, like you said. And if we could amplify those on the official Overwatch League broadcast, because I don't think people are like searching for that kind of content as well.
There he is.
There he is. Nate! There he is!
Oh god, man.
I don't think they're going
hell.
out to look for that content either. So if we can amplify it in some way and like link to it, like the teams have these like intro videos that we show like literally every single match that like they play. It's like, here's the Atlanta Reign introduction video, and it's like a Widowmaker grappling down, and it's like Kai, and it's just a lineup, and it's like, well, you know, I hopefully we could get to a place where we could showcase these player personalities more. The footage I'm showing now, like this video series, I'm just telling you guys, this is not what I want. I heard that this is like one of the biggest money dumps that like ever happened. Like they spent so much money on these personality content series, and it's just...
And you don't even really get their true personality, right? Like if you just show clips of them on stage and then get a couple of quips, as Avast was saying, like that's a better way than like sitting someone down in a chair with like a crazy production, and like I don't think that's a great way, and it's just not worth the money.
Yeah, like the Smurf vlog, like show me that shit.
Yeah. Just show me his random shitty apartment where he talks and makes fun of him and his teammates. Like that gives me way more personality than anything that this does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of options that don't have to be huge key beats. Key beats like this are still good. They're still like fun to have, like big production moments, like stuff that you're willing to invest in that are like just like something that you do every once in a while. But there's a lot smaller, more flexible options that are very possible. And also the reality it is too is that still we've been leveraging a lot of this in the league, but like it is on the orgs too to make this content to be amplified. But the reality is they're not incentivized to currently do it because there's no, there's been no reason. Overwatch 2 hasn't existed. There hasn't been like a lot of viewership options, like and there hasn't been a lot of incentive for like all sorts of other things. Like, it would also be great, I think, if like, especially comparatively, like, and a big thing that I think Valorant has over Overwatch is that a lot of their players are incentivized to stream. They have like the content game for like the newer generation is like way, especially for Valorant, when I compare like the newer esports, it's just so much higher than the content game for Overwatch right now.
How so? What incentives are they giving them to stream and stuff like
that? I mean, I think the biggest one is that they're highlighting their personalities a lot more. So like when they stream, they get that brand building, not just on their individual channels, but like they will also amplify it a lot on the official channels. So like they're getting extra brand building coming from that. Additionally, and honestly, that's like the biggest one, like right off the bat. But I think realistically, they're also just like doing more to incentivize, like if you have a big stream, you're also, because they still have a tournament style system, like bigger personalities also get invited to more tournaments, things like that. But that's a separate issue. Like the biggest thing is that they amplify their players' individual content on official channels and utilize it into their own like packages. Which I think is big, but I think that's something that we could be doing a lot better too, and incentivizing those players to stream. But there is a little bit of a culture difference in terms of like, especially when half the league streams on platforms that aren't really natively like Twitch.
Overwatch.
So
Overwatch.
Yeah,
He's come online, bro.
Overwatch has come online.
He's gaming.
All right. Taimu. There we go. What a nostalgia treat this video was.
Yeah. Going down memory lane right here.
Going down. Oh, is that Twick? Oh, that's a shot. No, sure.
Lane Roberts. There he is. There's the man himself. I was reminiscing the other day. Young Johnny. Look at him. He's so young. I was reminiscing a bunch of Lane Roberts moments with Grego the other day, because Grego was in town because he's Misfits assistant coach for our Valorant Game Changers team.
Dude, motherfucker's not aged, by the way. Sorry, Connor. Holy moly. Dude's got a little bit more facial hair now, but like that's about it. Jesus. Scandinavian genes.
Yeah, you do. You do look pretty similar.
Miro.
Great.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Sorry,
that's
Connor,
enough of that. That's enough of that. Get that out of my way.
Okay.
Yeah, that's that was a good conversation. Yeah, I hope we have more of that shit. We obviously have steps to improve for next year. So I'm gonna try to make a personal attempt to get some more stories out there. Feels good, man. What a throwback those videos were. Feels good, man. Oh wait, we got one more category. One more category quickly. Here we go. Memes. Avast. You are
Avast
the
is
king of Overwatch
Am
memes.
I? Well, the thing is, my memes are like different than like the broadcast meme necessarily. But like, I guess there's bleed
No,
over. Here,
any
I'm gonna
memes,
say one.
any memes.
Yeah,
Okay,
Reddit.
here's one that I, as personal storyline, I've very much enjoyed. I've enjoyed the Bad Pachimari curse
Yeah.
memes. Like whenever he predicts the team, he curses them to lose. I've enjoyed those.
The bad Pachimari predictions are awful, by the way.
Yeah,
Like, purposely bad.
but the thing is, I love them. I love all the Bad Pachimari stuff. I also have very much enjoyed the because everyone picks a meme team. Valiant was that meme team for a bit when we had no hill season. Now we've gone to the Charge, and the Charge obviously they didn't make playoffs, but like, you know, I always like picking a team and just like running with that team, and like that's like the squad that they get to go. That's like the meme squad. So I've enjoyed the shit. I've also enjoyed that's more APAC centered this year versus North American centered. So like with Valiant and then with Charge. Other memes that I can like think of off the top of my
Didn't you do like a
head.
meme bracket for like previous years?
Yeah, for previous years, but for this year, I mean, like, what else? I'm trying to think of like.
Has it been a
Any,
dry
like-
year for memes? Is the vintage aged poorly? The environment not
I
good?
don't know. I feel like I guess it's when I really think about it, I can't think of like too many things from this year that were really. And I mean, someone LFG is a classic of just like, but it's just someone like just someone popping the fuck off.
My favorite one from the year is We Won. And then
We won! We won! Of course!
Really good
We
meme.
won. And then conversely, we lost with the Justice,
lost
where
with
like
Mag.
they posted Mag, and he's like, and like, and it's like, so like, okay, we won and we lost. I also think Jake Despair, actually, now I think about it,
Yeah,
Jake
Jake
Despair,
Despair was a good one,
when like when they Houston would post their loss graphics and it was black and white and it was Jake's
Yeah.
face. Like those are
One of-
very funny.
One of
I
my
like those,
favorite
yeah.
ones was when Lastro flipped the double bird behind the
Oh, the
PC
double bird,
monitor,
yeah.
and then fucking Violet quote retweeted it. I respect him so much.
So
like
much.
That, I love that one.
That's a
was,
good
yeah,
one.
That was king.
Yeah,
and
that's
you know
fair.
what's really
That's
funny?
fair.
This like feeds into like the personality side of things and like directly correlates to kind of like, you know, like in the first LAN when someone won, there's a gif of him going crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of a meme too in a way. And it's just man, that all feeds into like the whole personality.
Yeah, that was
And
someone
Comcheck is really good for that as well.
Comcheck, Comcheck is one of my favorite pieces of content. Like the league does. It is incredible for showing that kind of shit. But yeah, we definitely need more of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I respect him, bruh.
I like the Vancouver. This is like much more obscure, but I very much enjoyed the Vancouver Titans cups. And like this is like the cups that the Vancouver Titans all made, I thought were like very
They were
funny
very good.
just for separate reasons. Just so like that was something. And then after that, like I can't believe I forgot about the We Lost, We Won, and then like the Jake Despair. Like those were all good ones that came from orgs. Those were all classics. And I can't think of anything else, honestly. There's definitely probably a few I'm missing, but those are like highlights, perhaps,
Yeah.
or like what we put out.
Dude, Reiner and Kalush kissing on LAN.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but the
That
thing
was
about
good.
it is that
Hunter
it
gay
was-
sex.
Hunter
Under game sex.
Gay
But,
sex.
but see, but once again, these are all like
Elite.
my stream memes, right?
Yeah,
These are
well,
like
they're funny memes.
we can't say that, right? Like we can't talk about that stuff. So it's like your stream is like
okay, sure.
integral
If we
to,
just
like,
take
build
all of
the
my
memes.
stream memes,
Yeah,
Under
like-
gay sex was a classic.
Hunter gay sex is very good.
I think that was a really good one. There was one that you didn't discuss it at all. You couldn't, but like Majed, when they went to player cams right before Summer Showdown, when he was still at the house, like in the Florida apartments, he was vaping like on stream and like, in the Overwatch League player cams, and they're like, whoa, Majed, get out of frame. And also he was on his phone, which you're not supposed to be either when you're playing. And so then he thought he was being slick, and he like got up and like was like here, like right outside the frame, and you can still obviously
never
tell that
seen
Majed
that.
was vaping and on his phone.
That is so
that
funny.
that one I was like, holy shit, I can't.
I've
believe
not
it.
seen
Like,
that one. Wow.
No,
that really
I've
did
not seen
slip
that
under the
either.
radar.
It was yeah, that one's like underground, but that one was like very
damn.
funny. I thought that was like a classic.
All right.
And then yeah, I think that's been pretty good so far. Yeah.
All right. Just addressing some of my own. Boston Uprising is a professional organization.
That was a good
one. Oh, sure.
That was a good one.
I'll
Yeah,
take
was
that
good.
one. The talent is there. Awful. It's not really me.
Yeah.
but
We sort of
I
ran that
hate
one
it.
into the ground.
Overdone. I hate it. I shy away from using the word talent ever on broadcast because I just hate it with like a passion. The shock lost on control thing, I don't get it. They're good on control. I don't get the meme. Can we stop posting that shock lost on control?
No, they're good in control overall, but they're they're awful at the first map of control is the thing. Their first map control win rate is actually not very good, but their overall control win rate is very good because they always win the map 5 control every time.
Yeah. But they always lose the first
Interesting.
Yeah, right. It's very interesting statistic because I was worried about that. I think something that's actually, I think the Justice memes about like this year of like how they still let us down and we refused to like, we literally put them in like the black hole zone at one point on power rankings because we refused to pred for them. I thought
I think that was funny. I think my big regret is that I let it bleed onto broadcast, and it like I was just really mean to them as an organization. So watching Justice,
that's
I hate watching you, but I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that on broadcast.
That's a separate. But the thing is, funny part about Justice is that it coalesced into an even funnier because after they literally got rid of all their team for budget reasons, they got better. So I thought that entire storyline was. I think the Dante, even though it was not funny for Dante, but it is funny now in retrospect. I think kind of like how Dante has been made Flage this whole year, like how he like there was like posts about him being like the biggest loser in Overwatch history and stuff like that, and like he's had to swap roles so much. He also had his testicular torsion and everything.
Oh,
I think like
that.
Dante's had a rough year, but like his overall year in general, like his performance as a player has been so good that it's like kind of juxtaposed like, oh man, Dante's got to like gets to be the punching bag occasionally, but he's just like so critical that he's like Punk but for Houston, and that he's also a DPS player and that he absorbs every other tank they try to play and just beats them. So that's like a storyline more than a meme, but it's like I still found it to be like a fun one to approach. Overall, I think the Reiner Twitter saga has been good. Like all of Reiner's outbursts on Twitter. And like him deleting Twitter, and then getting rid of it and coming back, like those have been pretty solid.
Yeah, I think the chatty meme earlier in the season was fun as well. Like a pretty vanilla meme, but I think it was like fun for a lot of people.
Yeah, it was fun for a bit, and then it got out of control very quickly.
It got a little out of control.
But it was.
Although
he
did do press ups on stage. That was pretty fun.
That was a bang. Him doing the push ups
good.
was an absolute.
The push ups was
100%.
Yeah. Pablo mentioned in chat the Punk benching every tank that opponents him. That's actually incredible. I can't believe that graphic is a thing where it's like Punk 70% map win rate and every other like 30.
Unreal.
You can tell that to his dad. Right?
Yeah, his dad. Because we showed it on broadcast and then he just kept crossing it out and then adding more numbers to like Punk's win rate. Like,
really good, really good. It felt like a lot. We had some good memes this year, but a lot of mid memes.
Yeah.
Not a lot of top tier memes, a lot of mid memes. But
I mean, the thing is, you really don't get like banger memes except for it's like unless you have like either key moments on broadcast, like where with the players or something happens, like the Cheez-It ones, like or like if you have like big events, right? And we just haven't had as many big events this year for us to like highlight that as often. So like, but it'll get there. But I think there's been still some good moments. Overall, I've always enjoyed. It's not really a meme, but something that is like I've been bringing Taze on Day onto my stream now, and he just shows up.
Have you?
Taze on Day just shows up now. He's literally just a guest, like a reocurring guest.
That's amazing.
He shows up on the stream like multiple times.
Yeah, I feel like that meme has reached its pinnacle at this point. Like,
it's like I don't think we can go anywhere else with Tay, but like
we're bringing it on the broadcast on the desk.
Fans. And the thing is, he's an actually devout follower. Like he's not just a Valiant super fan either. He legitimately does like.
You think he watches Plat Chat?
I don't know if he watches Plat Chat, but like he watches the games. He watches the games.
Yeah.
Like he like had like when I ask him for predictions on things, like because I'll be like, hey Tay, what is your pred for this match? He'll be like, he'll kind of have like a reasoning and like thoughts behind it. Like he really like he definitely pays attention.
It's great. Someone mentioned Mayhem's illegal maneuver. We failed to mention that.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah,
dude, I had to cast that one, man. I had to be like, oh, I'm sorry, that was an illegal maneuver. Like, we have to go again.
Illegal maneuver.
Bruh. Come on, man. That was funny as fuck, though.
But it was short-lived, though. It was like, lasted like a week?
Yeah. I mean, it had potential, though. Like, I could have seen, like, illegal maneuver being carried on. It had, there was some smattering of illegal maneuver in there. Anyway, yeah. So, I'm just going to rely on Avast for this one. 1 to 10, Avast. What do you rate the memes this year?
I think it's been decent, but not incredible. So I think it's probably around a 6 to a 7.
Yeah.
So like, just to be fair, I'll give it a decimal of like a 6.5.
6.5. Great. We didn't give the star players and personality one, but then we're done.
I think that's like a 3. I don't think we've we've done much of star players.
I'll put 4 down.
It's
Okay, there you go.
I'll put 4 down. All right, pretty mid-season, but we did like the meta. So there you go, and the memes were okay. So there you go. All right.
It was a polished. The thing about the season overall, it felt very polished, and there was nothing like really wrong about it. Like it all felt good. There was just not a lot of like standout moments, right? But it felt good, which I think is a good. I think personally, consistency and baseline good is like a very nice point to be at.
You also can't ask for more of this season, right?
Yeah.
Like this was a weird fucking
no
season.
Overwatch 2 released.
Yeah.
Until now.
Exactly.
So, and the playoffs could be banging for all we know.
It could be. Yeah, it could be.
Hopium. Okay, so there we go. Reviewing the 2020 Overwatch League regular season. Now, oh boy. The end of season ranking comparison. The results are in.
Oh no.
This was made by Len Joyer. So credit to Len Joyer for this. Tons of work has gone into this. It's very well thought out. They put more into this Excel sheet that I probably did anything Plat chat this year. And we gotta talk about this. Jaws, you were not on the our season rankings episode, so
no, I was not.
you will be our judge. You will assume the role of court. And
Judge
me,
Dren.
Custa, and Avast, we gotta hash some stuff out, guys.
Alright, I'm trying to remember
Plat
if I
chat.
did well or badly here.
Plat chat with a difference total of 36.
Ooh, that doesn't
We
sound
had the worst
Unbelievably good.
rankings out of everyone in the community.
What?
That's
Actual
okay.
Oh my
worst.
god.
What was the big one that fucked us on this one to where because why is mine so much? Because is that a 26 for me? Or,
36.
like what is?
Difference total?
Oh,
30.
so I'm tied. So I'm also
Wait,
tied.
how do I
at
zoom in?
36.
Can I zoom in
Who
on an
fucked
Excel
me?
sheet?
Okay, that's it. Who fucked me?
Can I zoom in?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. So I'm also tied with our Plat chat.
36.
What fucked me?
Okay, so Plat chat 36, Avast 36, Custa 34, Reinforce 30.
Oh, there you go.
Wait, who's the 28 and who's that one?
28, Avril. Tactical
Avril.
Crouch
Okay.
24.
Wow. Okay,
okay.
wait. So what did they do different? What did they do different?
What did they
Let's
do
see.
differently? So the APAC region, they had 4 points better than us. The NA region, they got Fuel correct, Shock correct, Gladiators
I
correct,
think it's Eternal.
Defiant, Uprising. And the
Eternal,
mid.
yeah, I think Eternal, like, I think they're recognizing that Eternal was going to be, like, actually quite bad is pretty big.
Yeah.
Eternal bad.
Yeah.
We rated Rain too high, Defiant too high. Not going to,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
not going to, yeah. Eternal, obviously, you got way wrong, and they got Eternal right. And then, yeah, it's about,
Oh
you
my
know.
God.
So I mean,
Those are
the
the big
biggest ones. So it seems like the biggest ones that we really fucked up were Eternal and Spitfire.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are what really the
Nah.
difference was, because they also fucked up Spitfire, but they just got Eternal a lot better.
We also got a lot of little things wrong, like just like off by like 1 or 2.
Yeah, we rated
Yeah.
Hunters too high. We rated Hunters too
Yeah.
high as
Yeah,
well.
Hunter's a little high.
Yeah.
I didn't have
okay,
Hunters.
no,
I was
okay.
Costa, number
no,
2.
actually, I want to defend this because I think we actually got screwed by this because I did this power rankings before they imploded.
Okay.
So before they ended up selling a Predator, I was very high on the Chengdu Hunters because they just came off a great season. I thought they were going to fill out all their players. I feel like there is no way that I don't know who that is on the far right or like that kind of stuff, that they could have put Hunters that low without
I was
recognizing.
packing 10.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's fuck packing. But yeah, like there's no way that you have them below 3 unless you already knew that news was coming.
I mean,
Cajun.
I'm still. I honestly can't remember where I did my Hunters ranking. So like, because that's the most egregious one for mine and for Plat chats in general was like Hunters.
Yeah.
So I can't even remember when I did my ranking. I'm gonna straight up say it though. People that I cannot believe the Rain have fucked me this hard.
Yeah.
I can believe the
Rain
Defiant
number
of
2.
Justice would fuck me this hard. I can't believe the Reign have been this abysmal. But they really haven't been that abysmal. They've been still top 5. So it's like...
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Cager, who just joined member and gave us 10 pounds as well. Cager's on this ranking, and he nailed the top 4. So good job to you, Cager. There you go.
Nice.
28. That's better than us. All right. There we go.
Who else is on the other side of this list?
I mean, we got 36, and it's the highest, tied with Natter and...
Right.
Yeah, we got last place. All of these people had better points than us. Okay, and before people clown on us, before they say, "Oh, this is a clown show. This is just jokes, whatever." All right, Plat won last year. Okay, we were the reigning power ranking champions.
Okay, guys, we got to focus up for next year.
Yeah, we
need to really come together.
2021 winners. APAC, Plat. Best Preds total, Plat. Okay? So before people clown on us, we were the reigning champs, all right? And we're coming back with a vengeance, all right? Next year.
Most perfect guesses last year? Me? Yeah, classic, honestly. A classic.
When were you guys doing perfect guesses?
I don't know.
Where is that even from?
I don't even know what that means. All right.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I'm in the split North America. So I got the most perfect for North America. So I'll take that. I was in that list. I'll take that one for last year. Yeah, this year is rough year. This year,
it was a hard year. Yeah.
Looking at the list though of like the things we got wrong, it really didn't feel like.
I don't regret anything. Looking at it, I can remember my justifications for all of them.
I don't really feel like I've insanely egregious on any of these. Other the 2 that were by far the worst I think for both myself and Plat as a whole, like was Eternal and Spitfire.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, Spitfire literally pulled out like an insane turnaround, and if you predicted that correctly, you're crazy, and really no one realistically did.
All right, here's where we get into the good stuff. Okay, Overwatch League teams, when they do poorly, how do they improve?
How do they improve?
Yeah. What do people do to improve? Okay, if you were to tell someone what would be the best way to work on their game, what would you say it was?
Are they allowed to sign new players?
No, I'm talking. It could even be your game. Okay, fuck it, you're not gonna get it. Okay, VOD reviewing. Okay, VOD reviewing is really important. All right, you go over your mistakes. You look over what mistakes you did. All right. So that is what I'm going to try to do now. Without Kurt, we're gonna VOD review some of the stuff we made. All right. I'm gonna pull up some clips. And we need to talk about this, guys. We need to talk about this.
Someone said here that Custa wanted Spitfire higher. I won't let anyone forget it. Okay, let's VOD review.
But how much higher was it?
Let's VOD review it.
But how much higher was it? Yeah, I don't remember how much higher it was.
Let's hope this works. This might not work. I apologize in advance, but here we go. Okay. Here's the thing. You guys can't talk during the clips, okay? Because then you'll hear yourself like talking and Okay. Yeah. Here we go.
Okay, so let's kick things off. I'm just pulling on my phone to open up Avast's power rankings as well.
I mean, I'm ready to put number 20. I'm ready to put number 20 on the board.
I am ready.
All right, Connor.
London Spitfire.
No, it's not London Spitfire.
It's
not London Spitfire.
It is.
No.
Oh god.
This is going to be my most controversial take of the entire episode. It's not London Spitfire. It's the Vancouver
where do you want
Titans.
to put them then? You gotta
wait, okay, that's interesting. You're going Titans.
Titans.
All right.
Wait, but the thing is, you didn't even have. Oh, you did. I see. Yeah, you did have the Titans as one below, and they actually ended up doing still pretty ass, but not. What was your reasoning for that again?
My reasoning, I actually went through that, and we can look at that VOD. You guys gave no respect whatsoever to the Lone Spitfire damage line. I gave credit to Admiral, stuff like that. Okay, so there was just an appetizer. Okay, I just wanted to say some of us were on board Lone Spitfire. All right, I don't want to toot my horn too much. I also want to bring up this because Avast is a genius. Okay, we're geniuses. All right, and this is going to be a 4-point swing. I am officially claiming all of those people who ranked Valiant the lowest, I'm proclaiming them morons, okay? And this is faulty, okay? Because we were right, ranking the Guangzhou Charge the lowest. Up until the mid-season, the Guangzhou Charge, they were the lowest team in the entire league until they picked up Aprita and Faraway. And that changed their entire trajectory. Something we couldn't predict. So, okay, next clip. Here we go. Shit. Can I do say though, if this team, if Charge end up signing like Aprita, this is nullified. It doesn't matter. This
Yes.
is, you know, the ranking is wrong.
If they
But
signed
you
like
do it.
a Prita, and if they if they were able to score like far away or something, like I'd be like, okay, like what's going on? But I mean, I think Molly probably could still be really good.
The
We
unique
haven't
Molly
seen him.
backline is scary.
Yeah. Also,
So-
I realize I've been saying his name wrong for a really long time. It's far away, not
Far
far
away.
away.
Yeah, it is far
Yeah,
away.
it's
Yeah.
far away. Yeah.
All right, but that is proof that that's a 4-point swing differential for Plat chat. Okay, so we're actually not that far away. If you predicted Valiant to be better than Charge, you were actually wrong. Okay, Charge needed to pick up far away.
Johnny's on this
and Afrita.
copium right now. He's
I
trying to sell.
am defending the
sell our
reputation,
lust.
the brand of Plat chat as a whole. All
It's
right?
true. I mean, to be fair, that's a very extremely valid point. You can't. You would never think that Charge or something going to get the literally half of like the Chengdu roster. You know?
Yeah.
They picked up half to
Like-
change the roster. We did have someone who disagreed, though. Here we go.
About who from North America, because the teams from North America start to get a little better at this point. Are you thinking
do.
like
New York and Boston are the two that I have I have Guangzhou above both of those teams. Yeah,
You have
because
Guangzhou
I
above
think
both
I
those
think
teams?
yeah.
Whoa, double Custa.
Double Costa. Guangzhou
Yeah, wait.
Charge with unique and Molly backline.
Yeah.
Okay, I
And
need to be
develop.
honest. I overrated Unique and Develop like a metric shit ton. In my defense, Unique was also on the team of T1, which ended up being quite good for the Philadelphia Fusion. And Develop, he was touted to be this great hit scan. He just hadn't been able to play for the Shanghai Dragons, but I couldn't see any of his recent shit because he hadn't played it so long, and he was just not good. So it's like that would kind of threw me astray.
I called him the Korean Logics. I was not excited about the prospect of Develop at all. All right. We also have Connor talking about the Valiant Lil. Here we go.
Well, first of all, you have to focus on one thing. So every year there's a set of meme teams that are established by a council, and Valiant is in that tier. I'm telling you right now, Valiant is a meme team, not because they're necessarily going to be awful, but because the council of memers have already come together. They've convened and they've said Valiant is a meme team now. So whatever you see out there, it could essentially just be propaganda from the Ministry of Truth that's coming out. Like it's whatever you're seeing, it could be complete and total fabrications about Valiant. So just keep everything about that when you consider. I was totally right. I was totally right on that aspect as well. Literally, I was totally right until the people swapped up. And then Valiant, because the literal amount of human rights abuses that were perpetrated by the Valiant, they eventually said, like, okay, enough. Now we're the glory to the Guangzhou Charge Economic Development Zone. And then they swapped up to the Charge. And the thing is, if you notice all this, almost always, I'm going to identify a key member. They're like Rasputin. It's Bad Pachamari. It's always Bad Pachamari leading the charge, literally in this case, of picking a team and designating them a meme team, and they can do no wrong. And then somehow, by the magic of God, they do better than they should. AKA Valiant did did a lot better for parts of this season than we were expecting, especially towards the latter half. And then Charge picked up fucking half the Chengdu roster and was actually like good for like the last half. So, just always happens.
I'm looking at my rankings here. That Hunter swing fucked me. By like a crazy margin, because like there's like 8 points that I get from Hunters going from second, because I probably would have put them around sixth after that happened, which would have been on the fucking nose. Everyone would have moved up. I would have got a ton of points. Hunters
and Rain were my two kryptonite for sure. Rain and Hunters were my two big kryptonite pieces.
Yeah, we can take a look at Connor's passion as he put that argument forth.
Damn, this is gonna hurt.
If you wanted to be a doomer, you could make the case that Chengdu Hunters is worse than Hangzhou Spark.
Are you a doomer? Who are you going for, Jonathan?
I think it's more spicy. I think it gets Reddit going, so I like putting Chengdu below them.
I won't put. I simply refuse to put the Chengdu Hunters below
I won't meme. I'm not gonna meme. I'm in the rankings. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Nobody's buying my Houston at 10th.
No, I'm buying it. I'm buying it, actually. I'm buying it. Yeah, I actually, you know what? I think it's completely fair. We're giving Houston a pass for no fucking reason. Put them at 10th. Fuck, there's no main support. Piggy, main tank with no other options. Actually, fuck yeah, put them at 10th. Yeah, fucking do it. I would put at least Spark at the end of the day, even if I think Spark is going to shit the bed ridiculously and they have crazy mixed roster. And also, who knows, this whole org could cease to exist in the middle of the season because of the Chinese economic collapse as well. So on top of all of those things, yeah, I'd still put Spark above Houston potentially because I still think that I still put Spark above Houston because their roster makes more sense. Even their roster still makes more sense.
Here's the thing, okay? All right.
Okay, I'm gonna defend this take. I think that is an objectively correct take, except this team got literally saved itself because Dante can just play tank.
That is true. Yeah.
This team saved
very
itself
true.
because Dante could play tank. Like, that's actually what happened with the Houston Outlaws, is that Dante is like the one of the greatest players to ever live and can flex the tank amazingly well and save this fucking roster. So also another thing in Houston, this is unrelated to this. Houston still with one of the worst trades ever in Overwatch League, trading Creative for Iris. So
Creative's playing well for the Houston Outlaws.
Creative is playing really well in this meta. If they had traded him earlier in the year, they would have fucked themselves.
That's an interesting
100%.
take.
That's an interesting
I still think
take,
that's
yeah.
a really bad. I think that's a really bad trade for Houston.
I think it was a mutually
fairly
beneficial trade.
Yeah.
I think it's only beneficial for a meta where Ana's going to be good. I actually think this is forward thinking.
He's playing BAP. His BAP's crazy.
I think his BAP is fine. I don't think it's good as Ana. I don't think it's as good as
No,
Ana.
I think
Ana's
Creative
definitely
was the
better.
reason they beat Dallas. So
Because Ana's. The point being, I think when we get the playoffs, I think it's going to hurt him potentially. I think they're going to hurt with Creative.
All right.
interesting. I like that
yeah.
take.
All right, I have one final clip, all right? And I think this is going to be the biggest takeaway, perhaps. I think we had to deal with an infiltrator, a saboteur in our crew this past year. We had to avoid some awful takes. It was a bumpy ride, and I think it disturbed our presence of mind of making the correct predictions. We need to discuss someone in our gang who did not have the correctness of Plat chat in their best interest. Here we go.
I don't know who it is.
Sounds mad out of my mouth, but the two teams I would be considering for fourth place are Atlanta and actually Dallas Fuel. I think Dallas have the weakest. I think Dallas have the
Let me defend Josh. I've been with Josh. I agree with Josh. Keep going.
Dallas has the weakest DPS line out of the top 6 teams, which seems bonkers, but when you look at the talent that's available in that top 6, it's fucking crazy. And even though their tank line and support line are excellent, I'm not convinced that that's going to be enough to shoot them up the rankings. I feel like the talent that they're competing against is absurd, and I don't think they're just an automatic top 2 pick. In the same, I think Shanghai is an automatic top 1, top 2 pick. I mean, I don't even know how you would really argue with top 2, but sure, the Shanghai all the way up the list. I don't think the same for Dallas.
Wow. The egg.
The egg? Custa, you literally just said I agree with him.
You were in the clip
agreed with him.
Even to this day, I agree that the Dallas Fuel DPS line is one of their biggest limitations. And I think that is the reason that they've struggled so far. The only reason they are where they are right now is because Hanbin has been fucking giga pounding the entire season.
This is Edison erasure. This is straight up Edison erasure.
Edison has not been as good as any of the other DPS lineups in those top 3 right now, right? Like, Edison is not better than Lip. Edison is not better than, like, our Proper. Edison is not, he has not been on the same level. He has been mixing time on hitscan. He has impressed me a little bit on hitscan, but the only DPS player on Dallas Fuel that has impressed me mightily throughout this entire season has been Doha. And Edison got away. They got away with it in the kickoff clash because Edison could play Reaper.
I think this is Edison erasure, and I'm not going to stand for people. And that's also because that's a key point. I think people were shitting on Edison preseason and doubting his pickup, and he's been an invaluable piece for the Dallas Fuel. I think he's been an invaluable piece, clearly better than Gurio, and, like, honestly, a very underrated player. And I still think people are looking, but I will agree with you, though, their overall DPS talent is probably still not as high as their competitors. Yes.
Edison has had a great last stage N2. Like, I will give him that. He has mightily impressed me, and he is very good. But would I say Edison is of the same caliber as, like, Proper and Kevster? No.
No, yeah,
That's fair.
okay, definitely.
That's
agree
fair.
with
Proper and
that.
Kevster is up
profit.
here.
Very fair.
That's,
And that's sort of what I'm saying. And that was Josh's point in a way of the DPS line did not hold a candle to the other DPS lines. The thing that they have going for them is their tank and their support line is fucking incredible.
All right, there we go. I have one more clip here. I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
But like I do like simulations in my brain. Like I like
Wait.
is that
What was that?
I don't know what that was. Sorry.
it's true.
I just could have deleted that. I don't know what that was. Simulation.
That's good.
All right. There we go. All right. So takeaways. Custa got screwed by the hunters. We were all wrong in the Eternal. Tactical Crouch got them right. Okay. Before these guys
How
in
did they
Tactical
get
Crouch,
that
they got a bit
right?
cocky. All right. Keep in mind, the Plat shot is a 2021 reigning champions. All right. We're coming for you in 2023. We're gunning for that title. We're getting it back. All right. So maybe we'll have
It's like the
Jaws on. I
reverse
trust
Shanghai
Jaws for a
Dragons,
sideshow.
bro. Holy
2023 will be good. We'll be good in 2023.
Yeah.
This year,
From the best to the fucking worst. What the fuck? What
All right,
do you mean?
we got to start
Holy
getting some
shit.
scrim bucks going as well.
But-
I'm looking at Tactical Crouch. They knew too much.
but the thing is, like Johnny said,
aware.
we would have saved 4 points if it weren't for the Charge fiasco and the Charge Hunters
Yeah,
fiasco.
the four.
Yeah.
We would have saved
32.
4
That's
points
bad.
on that.
We would have been 34 with that. And, everyone else would have been, 2 points higher as well. I mean, they still would have been at 26, and we would have been at 34.
Yeah, like they still would have won. It's just
That's
the point being, this is
respectable
like we would have been okay versus like we're looking rough right now.
We're
That
looking rough.
fiasco.
The
hurt us.
Defiant at number 6 and Rain at number 3. No.
Now that
Yeah.
one's on me. I think that one's on me. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna take the blame for that one. That one's on me. Now, granted, we all thought Rain was gonna be good.
We did.
We all thought Rain was gonna be good. Defiant, I'm gonna say it. I pushed that narrative very hard, and I regret it eternally. Much like I regret the actual Paris Eternal. And so, yeah. So that one's on me. That's for me for
Yeah.
believing in Canadian esports. I should have done better.
Yeah.
I should have done better.
All right. Well, we can't beat ourselves up too much, I feel like that was a pretty good session right there.
That's fun.
Jaws?
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
That was cool.
Yeah, I like that. From an outset, very funny to see that red bar. That is the London Spitfire, I will say. That is very comical.
Also, deductions to Avril. He had 2 different rankings. What the fuck is this shit, dude?
How many point differential was it? 4-point differential?
And in one, Avril on Tactical Crouch rated Excelsior 6th. I mean, that is...
Jesus!
that's very
That's
Come on,
pretty
Avril. Come on now.
That's very sus.
We'll have Avril on. We'll have Avril back on the show. He's
That
a
is
friend of the show.
insanely sus.
We'll have Avril back. He can explain the
I
Excelsior.
love how
number 6 pick.
Tactical Crouch also guessed Defiant were mid. That's
Yes.
very.
Yeah.
That's
That's a crazy prediction. Going into this season,
Yeah.
Defiant were expected. Like, as much as, I love
I
the blame
Dude,
of
I need to bring
us
up my
for us
fucking
putting
power
him so
rankings.
high,
Holy
like,
shit.
they had a good roster. Like,
The
going into
roster
it.
should not be this
Okay,
fucking
but
mid.
Here's the thing. I think the biggest L that Toronto Defiant took is I don't think Finale or Although have really ever lived up. Like, we were hoping that one of them would really be very good. Finale's had his moments, Although was okay in the Summer Showdown. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I feel like rating both Justice and Mayhem higher than Defiant going into the year. That is like, you must have like a 0 emotional impact of like what Justice did last year to be able to go like, oh yeah, Justice above Toronto Defiant. And like Mayhem, rating Mayhem with like these names like Checkmate and Animo and I don't know, like they had Kariv on Flex Support, like rating the Mayhem above the Toronto Defiant, like you just have
that
like,
was Scrimbucks, I
nerves
think.
to
I think I had been sold that Mayhem were good going into that power rankings.
All right. Well, there we go. Can't beat ourselves up too much about it. We've already, been pretty hard on ourselves for the past 20 minutes. So
Dude,
I
mine
appreciate
were
you guys taking the
fucked.
time going through some votes with
Holy
me.
moly.
Yeah.
Mine were pretty
Put
terrible
Jack
too.
into the simulator.
Yeah. We're good.
Fucking terrible. Like words can't describe how bad they are.
Overall,
I
there were
put
some,
fusion super high.
there were some, once again, credit to Len Joyer who made these. There were some like interesting things here. So like, Yiska had this like budget tier list, and so I guess he tried to calculate like, earnings
It's
and like
actually
how much
a
they
pretty
spent. So
Big tier list actually. I
yeah,
like that.
so so like Titans,
It's
they didn't
Spitfire.
spend. estimated value. I don't know what this number comes from. I don't know where this number comes from.
like
But
I'm assuming the estimated
45,000.
value is based off the like his estimated value of like the roster transactions and salary for players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where London Spitfire 1 million.
Yeah,
Or
they've
is it,
got $1
no, wait,
million
is this
from
Ryan?
you.
Maybe I don't know how this works, but he tried.
Yeah.
Enjoyer tried. In some kind. Oh,
Wait, was that what was the first one? The first one was that which season was this? Was this for this season?
budget tier list?
Yeah, is that okay? Because I see there's one season 2021, and that's okay. Yeah, the budget tier list. Okay, well there are some glaring errors in that one. I'm gonna say, but yeah, there's some interested. But
All right.
but overall, it's
tried.
I'd say close.
Once again, here you can see the 2021 standings, 2022. Spitfire, of course, climbed a ton. Mayhem climbed 6 spots as well. Good for them. You know, they had Gargoyle.
Oh my god, look at that.
Hunters down 13.
Jesus.
Eternal down 8. Excelsior down 5. Dude, the Excelsior fans, they are
They are
They
down
went
bad.
4-20. That was a tragic season.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
honestly.
the Excelsior is actually like they are down bad. Like
They are down
I don't
bad.
know. It is.
I was a
this is
long-term
terrible.
hedger of Excelsior on Hoot GG. I had
And it's not gone
65
well. I
million
also was.
stocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
not
my
gone well.
god. I was hoping to make something crazy off of that, and I didn't.
Yeah. All right.
Negative money.
So there we go. Of course, there's a combined ranking, but this is like a mess. I don't really like the combined rankings. I like the separate ones better.
Yeah. I think the separate ones are fun.
Yeah, I like the separate ones.
It looks-
All right, there we go. The end of season ranking comparison. I guess, after the playoff stuff like that, we'll probably talk a bit more about the individual teams. We're already gone pretty long today, so I don't want to, talk about every single team and reflect on their single team. We'll probably do that after the season. If you're a fan of Seoul or Chengdu or whatever, we'll talk more in depth about your team and your season and your roster and stuff like that moving forward. APAC play-ins recap. We can quickly just go over that. Hangzhou Spark, they qualified over the Chengdu Hunters, taking down the Guangzhou Charge. I know that was not what everyone wanted here, perhaps. I think we were all looking for Guangzhou Charge to maybe continue their momentum they had to end the season, but instead it's going to be the Hangzhou Spark and Shy qualifying for the playoffs, and they're looking forward to coming to Anaheim and competing. I guess the pure copium right here is that at least we're going to see Shy Sojourn on LAN.
But it just frustrates me watching them because it just feels like is Shy going to win the game or isn't he? Like that was literally how they won that series against Chengdu again. Like it was like they just put a lot of their resources into the Shy Sojourn, which is cool to see for the pop-off moments, but it's not good Overwatch fundamentally through and through. Like, yeah, it's cool to see Pineapple coming into the lineup and popping off on that Tracer. We get Gushue Winston, but like, I don't know. I just love Jimmy too much, and I think the Guangzhou Charge are just a fun team to watch, but they lost to Chengdu anyway, so it's whatever. I'd rather see Spark there than Chengdu in the playoffs.
Yes, 100%. Spark.
Yep.
They're it's drunken fist Overwatch. So it's like they're just like hoping they fucking pop off and they win. Like they've been fundamentally pretty rough. But who knows? Maybe something changes. The Chang'un is a mysterious beast that we do not understand, and what he can do for a team. It's still kind of undefined exactly what sort of magic he introduces into a roster that occasionally makes it the greatest thing of all time.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go. Hangzhou Spark on LAN. I don't think we have too much to say about either, Chengdu Hunters. They cannot through. Like that Gaga C9 was one of the worst C9s I've ever seen in my life.
They had 4 terrible C9s in
Yeah,
2
yeah.
series. That was brutal.
Yeah.
Tragic gameplay.
I will say Gaga is a must keep for Chengdu if they stay full Chinese roster next year, though. Gaga's a
Oh,
must keep. I think.
thousands.
I think. Which I mean, they already kind of proved that. I think the year before in terms of like he was still the most flexible Chinese like tank player. But like, I think he's proved it again this year. So,
By the way, I had a worry when we went through the VODs of our power rankings video. I had a worry that, of course, I didn't want to shift the blame onto specific people. We all made mistakes. One of my bad takes, I know there wasn't a lot of videos of my bad takes in that video. First of all, I didn't have a lot of bad takes. But second of all, I did say...
Let me apologize for this one.
I did say that the Paris Eternal is a very strategic team. So I was full on the Paris Eternal. I actually was full on the Paris Eternal. My other bad take. So, I'm doing some self-loathing here, some self-reflecting and, improving myself. I said in a video, I think that I'd rather have Gaga as my tank over Smurf. So we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, that's a rough.
Yeah, some
that's
mistakes
rough.
worse than others, I will say.
Yeah, some mistakes worse than others.
Jesus.
Yeah. So we can't always be right. And chat, if you show some mercy this time around, you will know. If you think about your own takes aren't always perfect. One of my bad takes this season was that I'd rather have Gaga as my tank over Smurf. I would have been wrong in like Fantasy League and like that stuff. It happens, okay? There's a bad take for me. There you go.
It's also just fun to take a punt on power.
It's fun to take a punt.
It's really fun to take a
Agreed,
punt on like random things. So yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we got the Western play-ins as well. We got Florida Mayhem taking on the Boston Uprising, Toronto Defiant against the Washington Justice. I'm going to ask, who do we think is going to make it through? Who do we think are the 2 out of the 4 teams that will qualify for the playoffs? And then I want to ask the question of, who do we want to actually see make it to the playoffs? So starting off, logically, who do you think are the 2 teams that make it out of these 4?
I want to say Defiant as one of them. But then it's like, well, a
This is
Justice
very
gonna go. Yeah, a Justice.
I mean, right now,
sicko
it's-
mode and just have Decay pop off in play-ins. Like, it's very hard to say.
Okay.
But the thing is, they're playing last meta. Remember, this play-ins is for the meta we just watched. So the most
Whoa.
obvious choices are the Justice and Mayhem, I think.
Yeah.
That's who my 2 of who I predicted are making it out of the thing. I think it's going to be Florida and Justice. Because I just think they both look somewhat good in this meta, and I don't think you can ever count Washington out. Who I want to make it out is Florida and Boston.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Why do you want to see Boston in the playoffs over Toronto and Washington?
Just want to hang out with Punky again. You know,
All right.
nice.
I completely buy that. Look, it's like, who do we want to see? It doesn't have to be logical. It doesn't have to be anything.
Yeah, no.
Just want to see Punky, yeah?
I just think they'll be a fun team at playoffs. Like,
Yeah, isn't this the farthest they've ever gone as a franchise, Boston Uprising? So it'd be cool to see them.
No,
just make
really?
a run to playoffs.
I mean, they got second in the stage in 2018 with Striker, right?
Well, no, but the point being
But
for
like-
the past, so this year is the best year they've performed as a
playoffs.
franchise in the
Oh,
past like
yeah.
3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
not had a good year since 2018. This is the first time Boston's had a good year since 2018.
So, yeah, I'm on the same lines. Like, well, yeah, Punk will be cool to hang out with, but like them making it all the way to playoffs, I think it'll be kind of ridiculous considering their previous years.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see Defiant make it over Justice just because I'm like, Jesus Christ, this roster should not be this bad, and the money
Yeah.
you spent on it should not. And I really enjoy. They're one of the few teams that also still have some investment, and like it's cool if they would make it. But the most likely choices are Mayhem and Justice.
Yeah.
Or Mayhem and Justice.
Yeah. I've been really enjoying watching Hydron play Sojourn as of late. Like Hydron is
so
really
good.
coming into himself. Like he's just like he could take it to some of the teams around the playoffs.
We're
yeah,
never seeing XC again, are we? At all?
No, I don't
Probably
think we're
not.
seeing actually.
No.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
not.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Someone is really fun to watch as well. I think that people have been overrating someone, I think, a little bit throughout the season. But I think he's objectively like played well, and improved on heroes he hasn't been good at. So I've been enjoying the Florida Mayhem. They're probably my number 1 team. The team I'd most like to see in the playoffs out of these 4. I think I put Florida Mayhem number 1 because I think Hydron is that much fun to watch. So and a fun franchise, and, they're good
someone
in
on land
playoffs.
would be
So
cool.
Yeah.
there we
Yeah,
go.
going crazy.
All right, there we go. Play-ins out of the way. Making a return this week, based on popular demand and because I think it's funny and goofy. We got some more worst takes to round out the show at the end of this week. Okay. And last week, keep in mind, we did like 1 week before. So we got 2 weeks of bad takes to catch up on. So we have some bad takes, some worst takes to catch on, all right? This time around, though, a little bit tricky because we have to figure out who is actually genuinely having a bad take and who does just want to be on Plat chat and constructing, fabricating a false take just to get downvoted and just to appear on the show, okay? I've already filtered out some of the worst takes. Again, submitted. The person in charge submitting these is Serious Frog Car, who's a subscriber of mine. Shout out to you, Serious Frog Car, for going through Reddit and finding all these takes, stuff like that.
Someone's got to do the dirty work.
Someone's got to do the dirty work. I was just like, I love this segment idea, but I can't bring it on myself to go deep digging into finding these takes. I just can't mentally go through that. So Serious Frog Car, thank you so much for doing all this work. And without further ado, let's get into it. The Void is Washed, worst take of the week award. I gotta write this in there.
That is a classic.
Sorry, I gotta produce as well. There you go. Void is Washed, worst take of the week award. All right, here we go. Starting us off, it's a return. Okay, this take I know for sure is not constructed, I believe, because this was written before we introduced the segment last week.
Okay.
Making a return. It's Wistful Radiance again.
Classic.
Dante diffs a shit tier Zarya and people instantly hail him to be a roll-star tank. LMFF. Good thing someone dicked him down.
Wait, is he calling Hanbin a shit tier Zarya?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think.
That is.
I think
That's
Yeah, it depends on when this is. It depends on when this is. When was this?
so. This was real. Wait,
actually,
who
this
dicked him
might have
down?
been.
recent, right?
Oh,
When was
maybe
this
yeah,
done?
maybe. Sorry, maybe I got the takes around. I can look into it, but maybe Wistful
Yeah, the
Radiance is
date
just
because the
baiting it.
dates that these are made changes the narrative a lot, right? Because like I don't know when the screenshot was taken. If it was done literally 2 days ago, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Well, it is actually not 2 days ago. I don't know when they captured the screenshot, but
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. The dates where this takes place changes it a bit.
Because they also played Paris. Like, if he had written
Yes.
this after they beat Paris, then I think that you could agree with that. Like,
Yeah.
wait, really? I think this is after the Dallas Houston.
if it's after the Dallas Houston one,
If
that's
this is
just
after Dallas
egregious.
Houston, this is
Yeah,
an
then that's
inexcusable take.
insane.
Yeah, yeah.
Inexcusable.
Okay, hold on. I'll check the referendum. Is that what the word is called? I don't even know. 10-9. So this is 9th of October.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that was it.
Oh, actually, this might have been fabricated. I regret to inform Wistful Radiance. Screw you. I'm going to bet that this take
Wait,
was
no.
sheer-
I mean,
pure
why
baiting.
would this? If it was on 10-9, why would it be? Because the
No, it wasn't.
Houston
It
Outlaws
wasn't.
Dallas
It was
Fuel.
not on 10-9. It was not on 10-9.
Oh.
I don't know when this was, but Wistful Radiance, you are eliminated. You cannot win again.
Goodbye, Whistle Radius.
Next team.
Bye.
Calling us a Rhine team is lazy. This is about the Lana Spitfire.
Okay.
Proceeds to force Rhine in the most important match of the season to beat a bottom 3 team while looking incompetent on anything else. Just admit you're a one trick. Rhine isn't even Hadi's most played hero. So this is someone who's just molding that Lana Spitfire are molding that people are calling them a Reinhardt one trick. And then Cheese I don't know, is alleging that like that you actually are a Reinhardt one trick team, and like yeah, stop forcing this narrative that you can play other shit.
Okay, I'm gonna ask something here. Based off this current stage of London's play, it seems like they
Okay.
mostly play Rye.
Yeah, okay. They're not a Ryan one trick.
I wouldn't describe them as a one-trick team, but they like Rye.
And
a
here's the
lot.
thing. I think I remember this thread. I can't remember where it was from, but it's like calling the London Spit. It was from it was taken out of the Christopher interview
Yeah,
with Yiska. And it's like you are a Rhine team. You have played Rhine 10,000% more than any other team. You are forcing it in situations that nobody is even attempting. So they are a Rhine team. They're not Rhine one tricks, but it is definitely incorrect. And that's why it's a
Yes.
bad take.
We did disconnect briefly from YouTube, but I'm locally recording, so the local audio recording YouTube video won't be.
But also, this was to beat a bottom 3 team. So I wonder which match was this against then? It was like they did this to beat a bottom 3 team. So I'm wondering who
Is it against
exactly.
Titans or something? Who did they play
Wait.
recently?
Yeah, it must have been like versus like
They forced Ryan against New York.
they forced Ryan on literally every
New
single
York.
of the recent matches. They
Yeah.
They forced Ryan on every single match they played recently. Is the thing.
Yes.
And I don't think Ryan is necessarily like that bad. Like I think it's
No,
you
no.
can force it into the Zarya. You know,
But it's also
Yeah,
not
it
that
would be-
good.
it's
you're
also
better
not
off just playing
meta.
Zaya.
You're not
Yeah.
It
playing
would
the
be
meta.
New York.
And you have
So-
poke on your lineup.
I would just
Yeah.
say they're very lucky that the meta's changing next playoffs because I did not rate them very highly in this meta right now for this stage.
I think they'll be a dark horse. I think they'll be a
but
dark
I
horse
think-
playing the Rhine.
Depending on what they play next stage, it could be
Yeah.
a lot better.
I think
But,
they could go to Dark Horse for the whole fucking season. Look where you ranked in the fucking power rank.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
jeez.
They
All
are
right,
the dark.
Josh.
They are the Dark Horse.
they are by far.
Dark
Shit.
Horse.
They're
already
like the
dead. You
black.
got
They're like
last,
the
bro.
Vanta black of horses.
Yeah,
They're
Vanta Black. Yeah.
they've had no light escaping it in terms of how dark the
Yeah.
horse was.
All right. Next take. Here we go. Can't wait to see how mad this sub will be if Proper wins both MVP and Rookie of the Year. Even if he does, that doesn't make Desk not shock proper dick
True!
riders.
real.
True.
I don't know. I don't know what this thing is. Like
People
the
hate
Desk.
people who vote for proper.
Yeah. It's like it's
Yeah.
crazy that like people just get so mad that we like respect what proper has done and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm a proper dick rider through and true. But that doesn't also, you just said, but that doesn't make it wrong. So there's the issue with your narrative. And it's also like every time someone gets mad at us about talking about how good a shock, just look at their flares. He's a fucking London Spitfire Houston Outlaws fan, or they're a Houston Outlaws London Spitfire. They're probably mad that fucking Dante didn't win MVP, right? Like,
look at their flares. This is so difficult. Proper MVP plus Rookie of the Year. Merit Rookie of the Year.
oh, Merit Rookie of the Year. There it is, right? Like,
And he has an O2 bar spare as well.
yeah,
you go.
it's like,
I mean, to be fair, I don't think Merit's like. It's not. A bad
No,
pick.
it's a great
Like,
shout.
yeah.
Merit is
Yeah,
sort of
great
been
shout.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, but I mean, overall, there has been a. To be fair, though, I understand why. Because, like, for example, when I put out my MVP vote, I was like, I think Rookie of the Year should be proper, and I think MVP should be Smurf. They were like, people were in the a lot of people were like, "You're so brave," and then a lot of other people were like, "How dare you not vote for proper?" Right? Like, it's a very. But the thing is, I actually view this as a good thing. I don't know why everyone's mauling about it when it's just fun. Like, it's like. It's great that we have such a hotly contested race that we can have someone that seems to be like kind of a clear choice, but there's other great choices to mention and different factors. Like, it's just not that serious.
But okay, here's the problem: is that, and here's where the discourse begins: is that people are attacking our integrity and personality over our opinion, and that's the problem. Like, this person just called the Desk dick riders. Like, the thing is, like, it's not really like necessary. Like, if you don't agree with it, you don't agree with it, right? But like, I don't know. If people just got to calm down and just like move on with their lives, it's not that serious. Like,
Yeah.
Dude, like, I don't know what this weird like bias thing has been recently. It's been really funny to kind of harp on, to be real.
yeah.
But like the best example of that is Avril going on cast wearing full Atlanta Rain shit. Hat, jersey, got the fucking scarf, I think, too. I was like, that is so fucking funny. Because people do get very frustrated and annoyed, pissed, whatever, over like maybe biases and shit like that. But then Mitch on fucking cast is like, Future's the best team in the fucking world, bruh. And I'm like, yeah, fucking Dallas Fuel, they're my homies, you know? Like, that's just kind of funny. And it just, yeah, it creates interesting moments, I guess, on broadcast, but also like, yeah, it's just funny as fuck. Like, don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I think
just
that's
funny.
been a very welcome addition. I don't think this is like at all. I don't think this is relevant to the shock proper thing, because I don't know a single talent member that's like a shock fan, like or a proper fan. But
Yeah.
I have enjoyed this season that like we actually are we are able at times to mention that we like a team, or like act more as fans of the game and fans of the league, and like being able to put that out into the world, like overly with Philadelphia Fusion, and people can do that their own way, or But usually in like traditional sports, there was always like, oh, you have to be objective. You can show no affiliation whatsoever to the teams, and like
Yeah, but
even
we ain't
traditional
traditional sports, baby.
even
Like,
traditional
we-
sports, I
don't
follow
give a
like
fuck,
ESPN and like the people on there and stuff like that. More recently, they have trended towards like, hey, on Twitter, they tweet about their favorites team and like, hey, I'm a fan of this team. And like you go through like when a team chokes, you're like, oh, my favorite team choked again. And like you could put out some funny meme or whatever about that. And like fans really enjoy that. So that's been a welcome addition, I think. I think it adds some sense of color to the broadcast that like, hey, we're fans of the league, we're fans of the players.
And we have
fun
bias. Yeah,
level-
yeah. Like, people
it
don't
adds fun level of conflict on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Which we can poke fun at each other, and like that's, and honestly, another thing on that is like how we hate each other, Johnny. Like that kind of stuff is funny. It's a fucking joke at the end of the day, and it's supposed to be a fun kind of broadcast that isn't supposed to be taken too seriously. We're just sitting here playing video games, man. Like
I was a bit
it's
rude the
funny
other
to
day,
have
and I
that kind of
apologize for that, Giles. I apologize.
Okay,
I did.
You are rude.
It was very funny though.
It was so funny. Yeah, what the fuck?
all right,
You don't
all right.
never say sorry, bro.
Well,
Never say sorry.
you're a good friend of mine, okay, Jules? And I just want to
No,
make sure
I
that
know,
it's
yeah,
banter.
dude.
It's bants.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly. Shit's so funny. Especially that's one of the reasons why Crosstalk is one of my favorite segments of the show, is because you get to poke fun at the desk, and the desk gets to poke fun at the casters. And like that is very funny to the audience. And again, it shows it's like the personality thing all over again, right? Like it all trickles down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I like that. And yeah, having this kind of conflict is funny. And that's why this segment's really good too, right?
All right, there we go. On to the next one. We're all tired of, especially, I will say this before we move on. Our YouTube chat, when we record and stream Plat chat, some of you guys like going too far about the proper debate and like all that shit. Okay, no one cares. Okay, stop.
Stop
writing.
you guys, like on Twitter, everything. Stop it. No one cares. You guys are going around in circles. Move on.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awful. Next take. Here we go. I'm sorry, but Dallas one-tricking comp is so sleeper, and yes, I'm salty, but my point is still valid. Infinite healing and immortality is boring. I can kind of see it. I can kind of see it. Minus 21 here, minus 21. But Baptiste, Lucio, immortality fields, double star bubble. It gets a bit sleeper at times.
I mean, Dallas was the one that supposedly pioneered this, according to the players I've talked to. Where like Dallas was the one that busted out the Lucio BAP one day, and everyone's like, "Wait a minute." Like with the Zarya, and everyone's like, wait a minute, this is pretty good. But I find it very funny that they are a Rain fan, though it might just be like Pelican, because considering Rain one-tricked like Doomfist for like the first 2 stages of the year or something.
And they played Rush all of last year, and that's like one of the reasons they got them to the playoffs.
But I mean, they might just be a Pelican fan, so it's not really quite, it might not be equivalent.
Yeah.
So, but
I like the honesty.
Yeah. I mean, their honesty is, I think it's fair. If you're going to admit you're salty, I think that's fair. Yeah. If you're going to talk about like get into a high horse and like build a bunch of paragraphs of like understand, like trying to talk about the purity of X comp, then I'm like, like it's at the end of the day, everyone's gonna play to win, and like that's just like life. That's just how we're playing for money here, not for giggles.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think Kugu deserved the minus 21, but
no,
that's a lot of downvotes for honesty.
To be fair, Dallas fans, they're very protective though.
They hate me.
I mean, Dallas and Houston fans both, they're very protective of their squads, and they have hated us. I think part of the reason the proper stuff's been so up there is because we spend a lot of time talking about the shot because of proper, and we don't talk as much about Dallas Fuel or Houston. And thus, like, people are like, well, where's our airtime? Which actually, I think is not an unfair complaint. It's just the way that it's handled.
Okay, Houston, when you make it to a top 3, then we'll talk about you a little bit more. But they have still yet to get there.
Yeah, there we go. Next one, here we go.
Just burning bridges left and right.
Justice versus Gladiators. I'd say GG, but this Mickey Mouse game wasn't one. Pay to win league. Mark ein diff once again. I'll enjoy beating
Wait, I know this guy. I know this guy.
Playoff buff yet to activate. Kevster mid as fuck too.
Holy shit.
This dude, I have to actually give it a lot of respect. I think I've mentioned this person before because I like occasionally like when we scroll through Reddit, like you read some match threads and like this, I've noticed a pattern. This is like the one true Justice fan. The one fan is real, and this is them. Like this guy loves Justice, and once again another argument to why like tying these franchises to cities works is because like who the fuck would give a shit about this team other than the fact that like it's got Washington DC attached to it and so like they attached, and like overall. I mean, they have been off the goop when it comes to like Justice belief, but I will admit, I am going to offer an apology to Comrade Hines. Justice have been overhated for the results they've achieved. However, that still does not make them any less terrible of an organization. But like that's they have at least achieved some decent results. But the Kevster's mid as fuck. The Kevster mid as fuck. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with this. I don't know what's going on. Like with this
nicely though. Like a sharp.
I don't know what's going on with that.
I will say this: playoff buff yet to activate. When has Washington ever had a playoff buff?
Had a playoff buff ever? Literally ever.
They got Zarya, picked up the K because of some loophole once, and like played Zarya and we're good. And they didn't even qualify for the top 4. All right. Yeah, that was that.
I mean, there was one they had. There was that final stage where like there was like stage 4 where like Samuel Sam came back in and like Corey and them popped off for like one stage.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
There was like
2019,
but that wasn't even.
Right?
Yeah, but that wasn't even playoffs because they were so turbo shit they weren't able to make playoffs even though they played really well.
Did it be Titans that game?
Yeah, it was like
I think there was when Titans were booming.
Yeah, they were.
But either way, the point being, I don't think they've ever had a playoffs buff. Yeah. So I don't know what is going on.
It makes people say that like we've been too hard on the Washington Justice. I don't think we've ever like personally attacked the players. It just it gets hard for me to just be like, oh, I'm sorry, Washington Justice, when Florida Mayhem, Toronto Defiant, and like London Spitfire all did better than you guys, but we're being too harsh. It is just hard for me to be like, recognize the results when there are no results.
Also, they have storied history.
Yeah,
like
like,
of a being ass.
we have definitely gone a little too hard in the paint on Washington Justice, but I'm not saying they don't deserve it. You know, like that's my thing of like, they have been, as you said, they have a storied history of just like having something good and then just falling over tragically bad. So I don't know, like, yeah.
It's usable on steroids, almost.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. It's usable to a different level.
Yeah. The only year that they didn't have, like, it wasn't really Houstonable, though it started the Justice mythos, was like the Corey Stratus series, you know? Like, they did not have anything good. They had something really bad.
Nothing.
They did not have anything good with that. But
we
like,
loved them entering that, right? Like,
but yeah, but that's the thing. Is like, that was where they were
Yeah.
most fun, is that they were just the lovable ass team. And then they were like, oh, we built like the team that's supposed to be really good and is also still ass.
Were they
So,
good in
like,
2020? Like, they were kind of good, right?
They
Am I
had
wrong?
moments.
They
They
had
had
moments?
moments in 2020. They
Wait,
were
what
never
roster
still
did they
like,
have 2020?
No, they imploded in the middle of the season, didn't they? Because
Did they?
Corey and Stratus retired in the
Wait,
like
was
after
that
the first
2020?
stage. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh.
That was
because
2020.
but then they picked up.
I meant 2021, the first year of this Korean roster. Was the one.
2021, yeah, they had because they had a good
Yeah.
roster, right? And that's why it was so disappointing at the end of the season when we had to watch them play Balls Sombra.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
wait, I'm just
Tuba,
remembering.
Happy
2020
and shit
was
like
wasn't
that.
that was 2020 Fozzick's year or was 2019 Fozzick's year?
I think that was 2019. I could be wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
2019.
2019. No, you're right.
I can't remember,
2019. Yeah,
I
2019.
was like openly like a Washington Justice fan for like half a year at some point there, like when they picked up this.
Yeah, and you
roster,
were
so
off the goop.
I
dude.
was off the goop. Yeah, I was.
You were
off
off
the
the
goop, but
fucking.
That was like
goop with it,
Aim
too.
God era, right? That's when he was on Washington.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
maybe.
God,
Yeah, oh yeah.
yeah.
There was the
Fury.
Aim God era. Yeah.
Fury, Aim God, yeah.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Next take. Here we go. Boston should just play Mag. Punk sucks, to be honest.
I mean,
Wait a second, this is a troll.
New Zealand
This has
flag?
to be a troll, right?
Yeah, it's a troll.
It's a Boston
It's a
flair.
troll.
Boston,
Yeah.
Australia
Boston
flair.
and a Kiwi flag
Kiwi,
or
yeah,
an
sorry.
Australian flag.
Kiwi.
I
And
can't
also, his
tell.
name is
It-
$2
Australia would have
Super
white.
Chatter.
Yeah.
His name is $2 Super Chatter,
Super
referencing
chatter?
the fact
Yeah.
that they
Yeah,
can
this
Super
is
Chatter. Like,
a paid
this is
entry, I think.
this is
It's
an
paid.
obvious troll. They
Obvious
took
troll.
the bait.
Actual bait, yeah, open
It
troll.
took the bait.
100%.
It almost got Custa for a second there.
Yeah, it had me
he
wound
lashed
up.
out.
Yeah. Sorry.
Listen, if you want to talk about an actual bad take, there was though I think it was still justified, but it turned out to be very bad. There was the one where I was pushing for Gable. I wanted to see Gable She get played over.
I
Punk.
did
Oh,
too.
I
I
didn't
did too.
remember that.
I'll
But
raise
the thing
my
is,
hand.
Gable She had just come off like an amazing contenders run.
He should
And
have
so I'm
got a
like-
chance, but Punk
So
was
I'm like,
better.
I wanted to see more Gable She, and like I don't think that was unfair. But overall, Punk has still proved that like the guy is very, very good and very talented. So
There we go. Good take. We like this. That was funny. That was funny. Oh, it was a bit of a laugh.
You got
There we
me.
go.
You got me. Super chatter.
I don't know
You
how
got
many
it.
more we have left. This might be the last one. Let's see. If people cared about supports, Lastro would be an MVP candidate, or at least role star. Dude is the support hyperflex. Lastro has never at any point been in conversation for being the best in the role at any character and for being the best player in any role in any meta this season. Him being an MVP candidate would be as big as a joke as if Hadi, if not more. And Ark is getting downvoted -17. People are upvoting the Lastro would be an MVP candidate here. I don't know what's going on. The distribution here is way
I
off the
understand,
14 Houston
I
Outlaws
understand their
fans.
reasoning. I understand their reasoning because the thing is, the other thing that boomed Houston, my Houston take, and our Houston takes in general, was not just Dante figured play tank for this team, but no one expected the Lastro to be this good at main support.
Yeah.
Because Lastro was legitimately, he's legitimately been
Was
really good at
good.
main support.
Yeah.
He's been good. Like he's been better. He's been by far better than Violet, who's made that swap. Like that's 100% a fact. He's been better than Violet, and also he's been a very, very good flex support. But the thing is, this is like a pure flexibility argument for Lasher, I think is what they're saying. I definitely think that the downvote should be reversed potentially, but like also like I understand what they're saying though, because it's like Lastro is the current main support flex candidate, but I think I don't even think that's true because I think Chorong is literally a better example of that. And
Gio,
he's
though. I like Gio a lot.
Gio, yeah.
I don't.
Chio is not, but Chio doesn't play flex support that well.
What I hate about breaking down this comment.
He's been pretty good. He's actually had his moments. Like, and I
don't
don't
think
know
he's that
how
good.
you're getting. I'm going to the stats lab after this point. But the thing is, I actually don't massively disagree with Ark. Lastro is very good at everything and all the flexibility. but I don't think. Can you say Lastro is the best at any support hero?
No, definitely not. I think the only
And
time he was ever in a condition for
that's
that
what
was
Ark's trying to say, right? Like, how can he be an MVP candidate when he's not the best at anything? Unless you are talking about the hyper flexibility.
sure. And but that's the thing is that like that's the biggest Lastro downgrade is that he's just not the best at anything. But I will say that like his flexibility is insane enough to where without him, there's a very real chance that Houston will not have functioned this year. It's sort of the same role for Dante, right? Which is why. Actually, I don't hate the nod for him to potentially get MVP because once again, the role is most valuable player. And if you take a player out of this team, how well does this team function, right? And if you can substitute them easily, and there's like not a lot of like easy candidates that you can replace Lasher with currently. There just isn't in terms of like getting in like what Houston has needed. So I can at least understand why you'd want to give him a nom, even if I don't necessarily think he deserved the nom.
So, I mean, there are two things to this, and also we gotta move on. I got like sort of a deadline to go, but
Got it.
the first thing is like if people cared about supports. So now when I read this comment, you already have me like like on my heel or like back foot or whatever. Like I'm like, whoa! If people care about supports, you're claiming I don't care about and I haven't evaluated the supports properly, and then you go Lastro would be an MVP candidate over all these other great supports that we have highlighted. So. I just find it a bit like a whoa take because there's so much,
To be fair, people definitely do undervalue supports. It's hard, but it's also harder to judge them. And in return, it's just that's like the biggest thing is that they're less visible and it's harder to judge properly.
All right. Custa, did you find an answer or should we move on? I'll move on.
I have the answer, but I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Well,
exactly.
Okay. Right.
Because you're wrong. Because you're wrong. Because you're wrong. That's it. That's what the reason is. Chiro's not been that good on Flex. Chiro has been way better.
All right, here we go.
We're talking Zenyatta, right?
Yeah,
mainly. Yeah. It doesn't look good for my boy.
How many more takes do we have?
Okay,
we have 2 more takes after this. All right, here we go. 2 more takes. 5 years of disappointment. Thanks for reminding us what being a Fuel fan is really about, boys. Let's ignore the fact that they got 2 tournament wins and a great season 4 and 5.
I don't even know what they're talking about here. This is the worst take yet. This is by far actually out of all the takes we've seen.
Yeah, that is.
This is the worst take yet because Fuel have been insane this year.
Yeah.
And
did they only tune into that one game? I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about here. This has to be a Houston.
They just like self-loathe so much at some point. It's like, come on, guys, just stop. Come on now. You've been great. The past 2 years of Dallas Fuel have been amazing. Stop.
This is like Dallas Fuel is the
yourselves.
definition of like what a franchise hopes their turnaround to be.
Yeah.
Next to like Shanghai Dragons. Also Shanghai Dragons as well.
This is like when the San Francisco Shock fans complain that they suck. It's like you should try being like a Boston fan or something like that, or a Vancouver fan. Like, you guys don't know how good you have it.
Yeah.
Go join Comrade Hines in the Justice Pits of Misery.
Yeah.
I just like this reply as well. I like everything about it. The name is Beep Boop Boop. I like soup. Profile picture is of a sheep. Profits connoisseur. And writes in italic. I just love it. It's a great overall. It's
Also,
like perfect.
They're not a Dallas fan, and they're defending the Dallas Fuel. Everyone should be more like Beep Boop.
Goat
I like
status.
soup.
Goat status.
Thank you, Beep Boop. I like soup. There you go. All right.
No, Boop Boop. I like soup. Sorry.
Boop,
Boop.
One final worst take. Let's see where we go. I can't even remember some of these takes. So I just like it's a refresher every time I see them. There we go. This BAP Lucio shit must die. I refuse to accept Zoats as the playoffs meta. My crackpot theory is that the BAP is being used as an inferior stand-in for Kiriko. They have similar kits with strong poke, temporary immortality, and a high damage ultimate. The only difference being that the BAP is still very vulnerable to the current Diva comp.
This person
would
takes it
argue
just
that
because
they-
of how wrong they are, and I'm also giving an extra point to the person who upvoted that.
Yeah.
Upvoted?
This has been upvoted.
There's just not how that people see 2 immortality fields and they're like, they are the same thing, and it's like they are not the same thing in any way.
They're calling this also this is the one above it Zoats. How is this current composition anything like Jotes or Zoats? Like other than it's like vaguely Rush like. There's so much more like in terms of the pick potential and like setting up your Genji and like forcing bubbles and like I don't even like. I guess like Goats is like Jungle Queen Goats is like Jotes was like a little bit based off that, but this is like no.
Hell no.
I don't think it's
Also,
Zoats either.
In that commenter's the bottom one's defense, he did say my crackpot theory.
That is true.
Like
It's
they
one hell of a
know they
crackpot.
might be off the goop, but they are
Yeah.
But also, they're saying an
really
inferior stand-in for Kiriko when BAP is just better than Kiriko at the role that BAP
They may have
occupies.
not played Kiriko yet.
has like a
maybe.
very different role than BAP.
Yeah.
Also, my favorite thing is their name is the girthiest ghost.
He's got the girthiest hot takes. That's for sure. Holy fuck.
All right, that's my vote. They take my vote.
That one is funny.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I still think
that's
the
a
fuel
bad
one's
take.
worse. I still think the fuel one's
The self-loathing fuel fan who's just like, oh, it sucks to be a fuel fan.
It's like, it sucks to be a fuel fan. Oh, my life's so hard.
I'll take that one. I can concede to take that one as well. You guys-
Okay.
Yeah, go on then.
So this week, the Voidus Washworth take of the week goes to whatever that is. There we go. Good one. Self-loathing Dallas fuel fans. At least you won something, right? You got this, fuel fans. There you go.
Real.
All right. I love this segment. It's so much fun. We'll see what we can cook up next week. All right. We got one final award, of course, and it's Bren's Player of the Week. Who do we think is Bren's Player of the Week? For the last week of regular season, who do we got? These get hard. Like, I don't think there's
Honestly,
anything
I mean,
going on right now.
I think there is a good shout. There is Hydron.
Hydron? I'd be down with that.
Dude, Hydron didn't even play this. Dude, Hydron did play this.
Well,
week,
Hydron, what do you mean? He's been playing the whole time.
Yeah, they 3-1.
played
Yeah,
the
Toronto
whole
and
time,
3-1 day.
I mean, he's been looking nasty with it.
He's
you
fast.
know?
Yeah. He's
He's
chill.
been looking
If you want a
nasty with it.
non-player one, the server engineers for Blizzard.
Well, we did that last week, actually.
Yeah, that was last week.
Did we do that? Oh, right.
Yeah, we
okay.
kind of did that last week, yeah.
Yeah, I'm down for Hydron. Let's give it to a player.
Hydron's good.
Hydron,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
giving it to a player. A rare
Good
occurrence.
shit,
An
Hydron.
actual
Brent's
player.
Player of the
Woo!
Week is Hydron. There you go. Wrapping up the episode clean. 2 hour 30. All right. Plat Chat episode 147. Thank you very much, everybody. It was a blast of an episode. And hopefully we can do a better job at season rankings next year. We'll do some improving, VOD reviewing, analyzing, all that good stuff. What are you guys going to do? Custa, you're going to stream some on Twitch with Jaws?
Yeah, it's Kiriko time.
Kiriko time?
So maybe
Yeah,
time to
good
int
time.
some games and see if we're right about Kiriko being mid.
There you
I'm going to
go.
down some NyQuil and meet Scott on the rank ladder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, actually, never mind. Something came up.
Oh, whoa, man. We're
Hey, I'm also
smoking.
gonna go finish my placements today finally, so I might
Are
see
you-
you around on the ranked ladder.
Oh,
I'm
here we
finishing
go,
my
man.
placements. I haven't
Yeah.
had the chance to finish my placements yet because Jack
We do
told
need
me in
to
the last
do
one we
it.
played.
Yeah. Who's the
well,
last
yeah,
one
but
we
I
played?
Well, you DC'd in one of them where we were about to win.
Oh,
And then,
yeah.
so I hadn't finished the placements because of that. So I got to finish my
Okay.
placements, and then but I'm probably
Nice.
pretty sure because I'm probably gonna get placed like at the normal ranking for everyone else. Like everyone got placed like in like Plat Gold area. I'm still gonna have to climb to get back to like the area where I could duo. So yeah,
All
but yeah,
good.
it'll be fun.
There we go. All right. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode 147. Next week, we'll have concluded the play-ins. We'll talk all about the playoffs. I'm still not quite sure what we're going to do because the playoffs is on a Tuesday. So I'm not sure what the episode thing is going to look like for playoffs. But we'll definitely do a preview, talk about the playoff bracket and all that good stuff. We'll have an absolute blast. Make sure to check out next week. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. And we'll see you guys